The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. Do Wendy's, do what tastes right. By Rona, proud league-wide sponsor of the CFL. And by Rogers Wireless. Rogers brings you the latest MP3 phones.
Sally Michener of West Vancouver, you could win a 50-inch Prima Plasma TV if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in today's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you win $1 million. To Regina, here are Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Dave. The Lions try to reclaim sole possession of first place in the West. And the Rider fans hoping their team can stay in the hunt for a home playoff date and stay in touch with the division-leading Lions and Stampeders. It is a sensational September afternoon at Mosaic Stadium. Wind might be a factor, but not as breezy as it was in Montreal. Wally Buono's Lions ride a 7-game win streak. 4 of those wins posted on the road, while on the other side, Danny Barrett's Riders, fresh off the bye, they've handed BC 2 of their 3 losses this season.
That's what's very interesting about this football game. The BC Lions so far this year have been the best team in the Canadian Football League. However, they have struggled against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, winning just 1 of their last 4, and as you mentioned, losing 2 of 3 this year.
And maybe because of that, there is a little extra intensity in the air. These 2 teams don't like each other, and we will show you evidence of that as the kickoff from McCallum bouncing through the end zone, and there will be no return on the opening kickoff of the game. Well, let's take a look at the warm-up about an hour ago.
Well, the teams played early in the season, but the rivalry has lasted throughout the entire year. In warm-up, they cross paths. You've got to stay on your side of the 55-yard line. They didn't do that. They started pushing and shoving, and then each team trying to rally after that.
Jason Armstead actually ran through the Lions stretch, and one of the Lions, we believe Otis Floyd, decided to return the favor, and things got out of hand after that. Saskatchewan to start from their own 25-yard line, and they start with a big gain. Kenton Keith with more yards there than he had all of his last start on the ground in Winnipeg.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders come into this week ranked 2nd in the league running the football. Under Danny Barrett, they have always been a run-first oriented offense. They've got Kenton Keith now. He's been going pretty well in the last 4 or 5 games, and they want to establish the line of scrimmage early.
Rips off 20 yards after 9 carries, 17 yards 2 weeks ago in the Banjo Bowl. Gary Joseph throwing over the middle, and there's Yo Murphy. Another old Renegade connection has been dialed up as Yo Murphy signed during the bye week and makes his first catch of 2006.
Here is the offense for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Gary Joseph under a little heat here in Regina of late. Starts at quarterback, Kenton Keith in the backfield. And there is Yo Murphy, will start at slot back. Armstead and Dominguez have been off a little bit over the last couple of games, and a veteran offensive line. Now Antonio Hall plays at left guard.
Murphy with 119 catches in the last 2 seasons. Most of them tossed by Gary Joseph. A shovel pass to Kenton Keith. And that was snuffed quickly back at the line of scrimmage as we check the Lions defense that's been pretty well stand pat and impressive all year long.
Very impressive. Aaron Hunt and Tyrone Williams in the middle. That's a defensive line that leads the Canadian Football League in sacks with 44. Some help from their linebacking core. Javier Glatt having a tremendous season in the middle of that linebacking core. And Baron Miles with 8 interceptions leads all defensive backs.
Starting lineup brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast. Actually a loss of 1, so 2nd and 11. Joseph steps up, big pressure, and they get to the quarterback, and it's Otis Floyd, the linebacker, this Lions team, with an even dozen last week against Montreal in the sack department.
Which is 1 sack short of a CFL record against the Montreal Alouettes. Anthony Calvillo didn't know what hit him when the Lions came after him, and they come after him again. Again, it starts in the middle. Chris Wilson gets a good push. Aaron Hunt in the middle, and Otis Floyd, he's the guy who's allowed to go over there and make the play because of that push.
5th sack of the year for Floyd, and the 45th of the year for the BC Lions. Here's Ian Smart as the Lions have left Aaron Lockett at home and looking to get more production on their kick return. Smart one game with Montreal, and great downfield cover led by Kitwana Jones with a penalty marker on the play.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Coors Light, the Silver Bullet, and by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade.
Dave Dickinson has 3 300-yard games this year. One was last week against the Alouettes, the other 2 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Joe Smith off the right side. And Smith stopped by Eddie Davis, the leading tackler, or the second leading tackler on the Roughriders, as we set the offense for you from BC.
Dave Dickinson, 20 touchdown passes to 7 interceptions. He comes into this game. There's his receiving corps. Jason Claremont back in his old stomping ground in Saskatchewan. And there's an offensive line with Murphy and Jimenez at the tackle positions.
Was some talk about Bobby Singh coming back this week. He'll rest another week. 2nd and 2. Terrell Juridiak with the tackle on Joe Smith. It'll be close to the first down. Joe Smith actually made his first start of the year for BC against Saskatchewan. He had 3 carries, 1 yard, and was forgotten for a few weeks. And then Antonio Warren played his way off the roster, and Joe Smith's been a fixture ever since.
Well, Saskatchewan was part of the reason Antonio Warren ended up being released by Wally Buono. Jackie Mitchell had a lot to do with that.
Well, it was 2 big plays, the Jackie Mitchell sack in BC, but also the Antonio Warren bobble that ended up in an Eddie Davis touchdown here at Mosaic Stadium that had Wally Buono make the change and put Joe Smith in. And Smith with the first down. At the 34-yard line, back to Joe Smith. And he kicks it outside. And Smith across midfield, forced out by the corner, James Johnson.
You know, both these teams all week long have been talking about the battle in the trenches and how important it will be in this game this afternoon to win the battle up front. And we've seen some big holes from both offensive lines early in this game for running backs. Kenton Keith had an early big run, and there's Joe Smith, really untouched till he gets into the secondary. Both teams very concerned. I know it's something that's said often, but winning the battle in the trenches today will win this football game.
A 25-yard romp for Smith, and yet another carry is forced straight off the left side, and we'll set the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense for you.
Well, we have the number 1 and 2 sack leaders in the Canadian Football League. Brent Johnson for the BC Lions. Fred Perry right behind him with 12 sacks on the season. So we'll keep track of their statistics closely throughout this game. There's Jackie Mitchell. Maurice Floyd will play for Mike McCullough in the middle, but Jackie Mitchell, the guy who made the big hit on Dave Dickinson, and Tristan Clovis has an interception against the Lions. He's only on the season.
Mike McCullough out with a knee injury, and so Maurice Floyd draws in for the first time. 2nd down, and the out intended for Paris Jackson is incomplete, and good coverage on that far sideline.
Yeah, it was good coverage. I'll make a quick point about Maurice Lloyd. He will be tested this afternoon. Maurice Lloyd, you mentioned, in for Mike McCullough. Now, this was a competition between Kitwana Jones, who's been around, and Maurice Lloyd. He will be tested. They were going to throw Joe Smith at Maurice Lloyd to see if he can handle it in the middle.
Armstead back, Dominic Dorsey, who has done most of the returning for Saskatchewan this season, off the roster today. With the wind at his back, Paul McCallum kicking in his old backyard. And
big one.
That's a perfect corner, coffin corner kick. Let's see where they do mark it. And the official will spot this at the 7-yard line. Super Duper Sunday on TSN, and it's a big weekend here in Regina. With more on that, here's Ray Morrison.
Yeah, Chris, it is the Plaza of Honor weekend, an opportunity for this Rough Rider team to honor some greats. The tradition, long and history here in Saskatchewan. This year, 3 members went into the Plaza of Honor. They are Ken Reid, Rhett Dawson, and Gary Lewis, one of Glenn Suter's teammates from the 1989 Grey Cup champions. 1,200 people, $250,000 raised at a dinner Saturday night for the football team.
There he is, 1998, and I know you're excited to see Gary Lewis again. Keith bounces it outside, and a terrific run by Keith to give them a little breathing room.
You know, and the team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders current team, often plays one of their best games on this weekend because they have some of the greats from the past there. A lot of the players will go to the evening, the dinner in the evening. I played with Gary Lewis, one of the guys that you wouldn't hear a word from all week long, and then all of a sudden Gary Lewis would do all his talking on the field for you. That's what type of player he was. These guys look at that, and they play a lot of the times some of their best games of the year on this day.
Rhett Dawson, a great name. It was fun to visit with him this morning for a brief time, and Ken Reid, and those guys with big smiles on their faces as they have relished this weekend. Dawson, a prime receiver of Ron Lancaster passes in the mid-70s. Well, a big run by Kenton Keith, and he's just inches short of a first down, so already setting an early tone after a 20-yard pickup on his first carry of the afternoon. Rough Riders have played well against the Lions, 2 of 3 this year. They've won 8 of their last 11 meetings and 5 of their last 6 here in Regina.
Go! 288! 288!
Jerry Joseph will surge ahead behind Jeremy O'Day and company, but there is a penalty marker on the play.
Bobby Jerson's going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in a week's time, and Gary Lewis is a guy that's going into the Plaza of Honor and went in this weekend that played right beside Bobby Jerson. And, you know, oftentimes, just like guys like Tyrone Williams and Aaron Hunt in this game, the inside guys, Nate Davis, that's what Gary Lewis played. He was an inside guy, and a lot of times they don't get as much credit as they should because it really starts there. The outside guys, the rush ends that have got all the glory and get all the sacks are nothing without good push in the middle, and that's what Gary Lewis provided. There he is, Big Lou, we used to call him, and a little more talkative on that sideline right now than he was in the locker room when we played together.
First down, and Gary Joseph on a roll. And a completion. Otis Floyd with the tackle, and Matt Dominguez comes up behind.
It's going to be a challenging game for both linebacking cores here for Saskatchewan and for the BC Lions because both these offenses have established the run early. Kenton Keith has had some success early. Joe Smith for the Lions some success early. Now play action becomes a huge factor. Dominguez catches that football off of play action, so that makes it more challenging for linebackers.
Dominguez with only 9 catches in the first 3 meetings. Remember, that was in the first 5 weeks of the year, and he was still coming off a serious knee injury. Kenton Keith with another nice change of direction, and a tackle from Corey Banks.
You know, I mentioned Matt Dominguez, and it's good to see that Saskatchewan, for their fans, are getting Matt Dominguez involved early in this game through play action to Kenton Keith. The reason being, last 2 games, Matt Dominguez just 2 catches a game. You know, and he's way under 158 yards in 2 games. Before that, he had 184 yards. So last couple of games, he's started to kind of disappear in this offense, and you can't let 88 disappear.
No, 7th in CFL receiving so far. 2 for Keith. It's 2nd and 8. And Joseph under pressure, and Aaron Hunt does get him to the turf. It's a sack for Hunt. The 2nd of the game for the BC Lions, and the 8th of the season for the younger brother of Saskatchewan linebacker Reggie.
This defensive line has just become the powerhouse over the last few weeks. I mean, this defensive line here is almost unstoppable. The luxury that they have, the BC Lions, is that if you get this defensive line, which has become unstoppable, you can rush 4, play all kinds of combinations in coverage, and still get tremendous pressure on the quarterback. That is a huge luxury for a defensive coordinator.
And that was up against Andrew Green, not the rookie playing his first game at the other guard, Antonio Hall, but a former top offensive lineman in the league. Oh, and what a hit.
Oh, baby, I don't know now.
Kitwana Jones decleating and a no yards penalty, and that might be more than that.
Maybe more. It should be more.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade, and by Coors Light, the Silver Bullet.
15-yard no yards penalty against Kitwana Jones and an unnecessary roughness penalty, and Ian Smart did well just to bounce up after that hit. 24-yard line of Saskatchewan, Dickinson to work under pressure, and he finds a man over the middle for a completion. Giro Simon, his first catch of the day.
Let's go back to that hit from Kitwana Jones. And, you know, Kitwana Jones, there was some complaint. There he is right here. Watch as he covers down now. There was some complaint on the Saskatchewan bench about the unnecessary roughness call. I believe that Kitwana Jones is lucky he was not thrown out of the football game for deliberate attempt to injure an unnecessary roughness. And the only thing I can say is it's a win kick.
Dickinson, great fake, and Dave Dickinson lunging down to the 6. And answering some questions about his mobility, coming off an ankle injury, which has plagued him throughout the last month or so.
But just to wrap that thought up, you know, it's a win kick, and there were other people in the way, and maybe Kitwana Jones didn't see how close he was when he made contact. So unnecessary roughness and no yards, and Dave Dickinson's knocking on the door.
The wind did hold the punt up and limit it to just 28 yards. Tell you what, that's as loud a hit as we've heard up here all season long.
Well, Ian Smart in for Aaron Lockett. He's going to get an opportunity over the next couple of weeks to see if Wally Buono and the BC Lions can improve the return game.
First and goal, the jumbo team is in with Buck Pierce at quarterback. And Pierce throwing the touchdown. Buck Pierce off the bench. And a touchdown for the BC Lions. Alexis Bowengi has his first ever CFL touchdown.
Buck Pierce has done a nice job whenever he's been asked to come into the football game. In fact, many people in the league are now saying that maybe Buck Pierce is the best backup quarterback in Canadian football. I still kind of like the guy in Calgary and the veteran in Danny McManus to be your backup, but beyond that, I would have to agree with a lot of people's opinions on Buck Pierce.
I don't know if this is a record or not, but Bowengi's the 17th different Lion to score a touchdown this year. 17 different Lions. And BC strikes first here in Regina. A big smile for the rookie who scores the touchdown as Buck Pierce comes off the bench and tosses his 7th of the season.
Tough to scout against the BC Lions on defense because there's so many weapons, and when you bring Buck Pierce in the game, you're basically saying in that type of situation, he's probably going to run the football, turn around and hand it off, and he of course has the capability, use a little play action, dumps the ball out there to Bowengi, and big touchdown for the Lions to get them going.
Montreal native who went to school at Kentucky and one of a real good young core of non-imports, the Canadian players that Wally Buono is building a terrific future for the Lions around.
Well, and it starts when you talk Canadian players with Brent Johnson on your D-line, and you got a solid backup, and that's why the BC Lions, though, have been one of the dominant teams, or maybe one of the few dominant teams in the league this year. No disrespect to the Calgary Stampeders, because of their depth.
Another kickoff that will bounce down near the goal line, and Corey Grant with the return. And again, good downfield cover. Wally Buono talking about his defense and his special teams being better than ever in BC, and Kerry Joseph has another long field to deal with.
One of the reasons for that is they're well coached. They're a well-coached football team, the BC Lions, top to bottom. Of course, Wally Buono has the great record, and we all know about what he's done in Canadian football. But then you add Dave Ritchie as a defensive coordinator. Jacques Chapdelaine is coming into his own as an offensive coordinator. This staff is solid from top to bottom. There's Dave Ritchie. There's not many ways you could fool these guys. They've seen it all.
Play action. Joseph rolling under pressure, and that ball nearly picked off. As not McKay Lozier, one of Wally Buono's front five, as he likes to call it, was putting the heat on the quarterback.
Great change of direction up front from Aaron Hunt to force a quick throw and on almost the turnover. Number 90 right here, he's going to end up stepping up the field, coming this way and then having to bounce outside. And watch the change of direction he makes just to get out there. He's going to chase from the inside, and then on the middle you see McKay Lozier. He forces the quick throw together. They almost turned the football over in Saskatchewan's end of the field.
Second and 10. Airing it out. Incomplete, looking for Dominguez. And a punting situation for the Roughriders.
And they punt into that wind again, and they're in that situation now where Saskatchewan punting from close to their own goal line. Luka Kanji's got a punt into the wind. The last kick under 30 yards. What was the last kick? 28 yards, and that caused the 2 penalty problems for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Kitwana Jones.
Luka Kanji, who is last in punting, he's done a terrific job this year place kicking, and this might be a wise decision. I hear some of the Taylor or the Mosaic Stadium crowd not agreeing, but they're going to play the field position game, concede 2 on the safety.
Yeah,
and it's a 9-0 BC lead.
You got to do that. This is a good decision by Danny Barrett. A 28-yard punt last time ended up into 7 points, just like that in the 2 penalties. This one you give up 2 points, but you change field position. This is a good decision.
Well, Dave Dickinson has had his problems playing Saskatchewan, and everybody remembers earlier this year when Jackie Mitchell decleated him at BC Place Stadium.
Talk about big hits. You won't see any bigger than that one. Free off the edge. Antonio Warren missed the block, and when the back does not pick up the blitz, your quarterback can get hurt.
At the 35-yard line, the toss to Joe Smith. Flag flies. So Smith is upended after a couple of yards. Well, we did talk to Jackie Mitchell about that play and his memories of what set it up.
You want me to be honest? I'll be honest. Brutally honest. Right here on TSN. Early in the game, I'd messed up 2 times. See, a lot of people don't know that, so they just go to the hit. I could have caused us the game earlier. So my thing was, I was hoping I could do something to kind of redeem myself or just save the graces of my team in a sense. That particular play, for whatever reason, I wasn't picked up. Nothing illegal, perfect legal hit, good shot. And it was just, it's a shot that you dream about as a defensive player. You see it and it's scot-free.
Mild-mannered for a big hitter.
Yeah, and that was interesting comment. He made a couple mistakes. He made up for it with the big hit. He comes off the edge on that last play, but this time he is picked up. I mean, this is the same type of play, and the BC Lions have scouted him. There he is right there. Watch. This is the type of play that he made the hit, and this play, just after he does it, look at that. He is picked up and blocked well by Jason Jimenez. So they will not let Jackie Mitchell come free off the edge, or that will be the plan for the Lions. They've scouted that one out.
Ryan Thelwell was free, but looked like that ball sailed on Dickinson with the breeze at his back. So it's 2nd and 20. Time for Dickinson, releases to the back Joe Smith, who breaks 1 tackle. And he'll get to the 34, close to the original line of scrimmage, but a punting situation here for BC.
Well, Jackie Mitchell involved with that one too, Chris, because it looked to me like Dave Dickinson wanted to find Jason Claremont. He was the deeper of the crossing routes right there. There's Jackie Mitchell here. Now Claremont is going to come down here and try and go across the middle. But watch Jackie Mitchell. He steps up now. He takes a couple steps back, and just to the right of your screen, he just jacks up Claremont, which isn't easy to do. Stops him right in his tracks, and Dave Dickinson has to dump the ball underneath.
Armstead awaits. McCallum to punt. And it will be Armstead from his 23 with a little room. And brought down at the 34-yard line. That's a 54-yard punt. Under 2 minutes remaining here in the opening quarter. 9-0 BC. Joseph, the option pitch. Keith cuts it back and might have something here. No. Brought down, great pursuit. And it was Mark Washington that finishes it off. Well, this week, Wendy's CFL on TSN Friday Night Football has the rematch. The Alouettes taking on the Blue Bombers in Winnipeg after Winnipeg's big win this afternoon.
Big win for the Bombers. They are right in the hunt with the Grey Cup in their backyard. They have a chance at first place in the East.
Big weekend next weekend, too. Hall of Fame weekend. Matt Dunnigan, Alan Pitts. Big names on the marquee. Blitz and a flag down, and Joseph wide open. Dominguez has the catch, and Corey Banks just holding on as Dominguez nearly escaped.
You see the defensive formation from the BC Lions there. That Saskatchewan Roughriders do such a good job of figuring this out, because look at the move up front here. Tons of movement from that line. They get Carl Kidd. They're all moving at the same. This is a change over the last couple of years in the Canadian Football League. George Cortez talked to me about all the defensive formations that he has to game plan against and face right now. He said it's way different from when he used to be in the league back in the Calgary days. Quarterbacks now are challenged way more than they used to be, simply because when a quarterback would come over the line of scrimmage and audible, he was mostly just changing the direction of the play or making subtle changes. Now he has to change the entire play because of the variety of formations that defenses throw at him.
And he's got 11 other players that have to be on the same page. First and 10. Keith into the secondary and drops the ball. And a gut by Fantuz, and the Lions are on it. It's Carl Kidd with the recovery to Dante Marsh. And Marsh still going. And he'll be nailed by Keith. There's flags flying, and well, that was an explosive play by Keith, but he coughs up the football.
Well, he tries to cut Kenton. Keith cuts back against the flow after he gets the corner and is wide open. There is a flag down. I think the flag is after the BC Lions took over possession.
Like an illegal block, and Jeremy O'Day seems to be heated up.
Tremendous block on the outside to spring Keith to get open on and get wide, and there's the tackle made.
It had been a 30-yard gain by Keith.
Illegal block on the return. BC number 26. 10-yard penalty. First down, BC.
Well, the illegal block on Carl Kidd. Dante Marsh with his second fumble recovery. Or check that, it's Kidd with the fumble recovery, and Marsh finishing the play. And this should be the final play of the opening quarter. After the penalty, Lions take over at their own 16. Joe Smith straight ahead, and there's Fred Perry, number 2 in quarterback sacks. And he has the tackle, and again, these two teams don't really like each other. 9-0 BC at the quarter.
The key players for the BC.
First quarter stats are brought to you by Rona, proud league-wide sponsor of the CFL.
Both teams in the first quarter establishing the run. 62 yards for Saskatchewan, 51 for the BC Lions. Time of possession in Saskatchewan's favor, and it's maybe a 2-point game without the Kenton Keith turnover.
Yeah, and misleading in that the Lions did have the wind advantage in the first quarter.
Yep.
We'll see how that plays to Saskatchewan's advantage in the second.
Well, and a big hustle play from the BC Lions, because Saskatchewan looked like they were going to take some momentum there in this first quarter with that big run from Kenton Keith, but Great hustle from Tyrone Williams. Turns the football over. It was a takeaway, not a turnover, not a giveaway by the Riders.
And a big defensive tackle who seems to get ignored at all-star voting time. Made a terrific play to force the turnover. Now Dickinson in trouble. Nate Davis can't get to him. And the ball thrown away. Out of bounds. Dave Dickinson did well to avoid the sack.
Yeah, that's a good decision by Dickinson. But let's just go back, because I want to show the young players, a lot of young players watching this game, what you do. Look at this. Here is Tyrone Williams. This is how you play the game. He's up in the line of scrimmage. He takes on a double team. Okay, then he turns around, sees the ball's outside, and now it's a foot race. This is 96, Tyrone Williams, who just was in a double team at the line of scrimmage, hustles all the way back, and from behind, catches Kenton Keith, strips the football, turns it over for his team. That's for all the young players. Doesn't matter what position you play like that, you're gonna play a long time.
Guy that plays on the nose and has 30 tackles this year. And by the way, a touchdown against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And it will be a safety conceded by the former Rough Rider, Paul McCallum, who will step out, trying to kill a few extra seconds of win time for the Lions in this second quarter. So, Saskatchewan's on the board. It's 9-2.
Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Castrol. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
When Saskatchewan conceded the safety, the BC Lions opted to take the ball on the 35. This time, we've got Saskatchewan electing to accept the kickoff with the wind, and the ball blows off the tee with that rather interesting formation being shown by the Lions kick team.
Well, the Lions are kicking into that wind now you're talking about. Now they've lined up everybody to the right side, almost like an onside kick formation. There they are in the bunch. Now watch them go and kick an air ball here.
But McCallum does kick it deep. And Armstead won't get to the 35. That was a good kick into the stiff breeze by McCallum. Well, we talked to Brent Johnson, who's having an outstanding season, and he really magnified where this game should be won and lost today.
I know, though, for sure that every game that we've won, we won the lines of scrimmage. And every game that we've lost those lines of scrimmage. So it's not tough to figure out how to beat these guys. And it's not tough to figure out how you can lose to them too. And I'm sure they'd say the same thing. We gotta have it right up front. And, you know, it's a grudge match every time we step into this place.
Couple of sacks for the Lions so far today, and Yoel Murphy with the catch. And he had stepped out prior. Are they giving the Lions the football? Yes. So Yoel Murphy with the catch, but stripped of the ball. And this Lions defense has taken it away again.
Well, this looks like another hustle play for the BC Lions, because it looked like Yoel Murphy was caught from behind. The only question was, had he stepped out of bounds on the sideline before he was stripped of the football? Quick out to the left of your screen. Kerry Joseph dumps it out there to Yoel Murphy, who's open. Now, he's down the sideline. Look who's hustling. This time it's Otis Floyd from behind, and his feet are inbounds. The ball comes right out and into the hands of Dante Mark.
Second straight turnover by Saskatchewan. There's the Regina native, Jason Claremont.
No challenge, sorry, Chris, no challenge from Danny Barrett on here, but take one more look, regular speed with the whistle in play to see if Danny Barrett may have had a chance to challenge. Well, they blew back the return. Once the whistle blows, you have to stop play no matter what the situation.
Dante Marsh picking up the football with a foot out of bounds. Looks like they made the right call. Danny Barrett already 0 for 6 in video challenges. Second down, and Dickinson across the middle, and Ryan Thelwell back in the lineup. He missed last week with a hamstring injury, and just hasn't been vintage Thelwell this year, but a nice catch here.
Well, we may see more of Ryan Thelwell in this game because of what the attention that will that G-Roy Simon will see. And you know one thing, G-Roy Simon's going to be matched up against Eddie Davis for a lot of the game, and they're going to probably be double teaming. So that's when Jason Claremont and Ryan Thelwell, that's when they see a little more of the football.
21 yards for Thelwell. Lions moving smartly against the wind. The pitch to Joe Smith. The big Jimenez out front, and Reggie Hunt found a way to get to the running back and make another tackle. Number 2 in the CFL in tackles.
And why would G-Roy Simon draw double teams and everything else? There's a fight going on now over on the sideline.
Yeah, flags flying, and Fred Perry in the middle of it with maybe Jimenez. Paris Jackson was in the neighborhood. And Fred Perry wants a piece of the guy he's been lining up against play after play.
And Jason Jimenez and Rob Murphy, new additions this year, have brought an attitude. They brought a nasty attitude to that offensive line. That's an offensive line that struggled terribly last year.
Unnecessary roughness. BC number 60. That is a dead ball foul. 15 yards from the point the ball was dead, and it's second down.
And I think Jason Jimenez just took Fred Perry after the play was over and just kept running him right out of bounds into the pavement area over there at the side of the football field, and that's why he gets called for unnecessary roughness. But I'll tell you what, the Lions love the attitude. They love the nasty demeanor. Got caught there, though.
We've had 2 unnecessary roughness. We've had a pregame dust-up.
Drop the gloves and let's go.
You can tell it's full football. Second and 21. Dickinson releases underneath. Paris Jackson stopped up there. Kitwana Jones.
It's going to be a late hit.
Flags are flying again, this time Murphy.
Well, Murphy's throwing his hands up because it looked like to me Maurice Lloyd came flying across and threw his helmet in there after the whistle had blown. It's whether or not they caught that or did they catch the retaliation from Rob Murphy.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. BC number 56.
They're going to get the retaliation, which is often the case. Here's the ball down and dead. Here comes Murphy to the left of the right of your screen, and there's the push.
Well, the problem with that is back-to-back plays have taken the Lions, back-to-back penalties, taking the Lions out of field goal range.
By the 2 tackles.
So it's McCallum that has to punt now. On third and, I need the calculator, 36. Short punt. Armstead lets it bounce. No yards will be the call. Armstead trying to turn the corner. And Tyson Craigs with a good job to upend the Saskatchewan return man.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade, and by Coors Light, the Silver Bullet.
There's a guy that was the top Canadian last year. He'll be a leading candidate for that award. Maybe top defensive player, too. There's a lot of candidates in the Lions in that department. Saskatchewan starting at their 20 now, and a short completion to Dominguez.
You heard Brent Johnson talk about the game in the trenches and how important that is. This Lions defense has been absolutely dominant. Wally Bono said maybe the best defense that he's ever worked with. And you look at 15 sacks in the last 2 games. In the last 5 games, that front 4, led by Brent Johnson, has recorded 31 sacks, 25 turnovers in the last 7 games, almost 4 per game for the BC Lions because of the play of their front 7.
5-yard pickup to Dominguez was the 1,000th completion for Gary Joseph. So there's 1,001. Bracey with the catch out of the backfield. Forward progress, the 37, and that's going to be at least a yard short of the first down.
And a quick throw from Kerry Joseph. And why a quick throw? Because the line gets there in a hurry and he has to get it out. And there's how close the BC Lions were a week ago to breaking a CFL record for sacks in a single game. The record set by the Edmonton Eskimos against Toronto back in '93, but one away, and 10 different players in that game had sacks. So Brent Johnson had a couple in that one, but they're coming from all different spots in the football field.
Kanji to punt with the wind at his back. And Smart from inside his 30. And he's brought down by Kennedy Nikiasen. Well, coming up next, NFL on TSN Sunday Night Football as the Denver Broncos taking on the Patriots in New England. Coverage beginning with Football Night in America. And it's available in TSN High Definition. Just under 10 minutes to go here. Great crowd at Mosaic Stadium.
One of the biggest of the season. And attendance was down early on this year.
I'm glad the folks in Saskatchewan are able to watch. With the blackout lifted today, here's Ryan Thelwell to look in, and that draws a crowd. Thelwell to the 48-yard line.
Again, a lot more Ryan Thelwell. And why is that? Because Geroy Simon comes in with a resume from this season that creates a little bit of problems for defenses and is the reason defenses pay a lot more attention to them. And so Thelwell becomes more important. Geroy Simon, last 7 games, 6 of them have been over 100 yards, 4 of them over 150. You better double cover Geroy Simon.
2nd and 5 after the Thelwell catch.
They got him.
And they're looking for Geroy Simon, and it's broken up. Eddie Davis, what a matchup of veterans, and the 12-year defender gets the best of Simon there.
Yeah, he does. And he does because he doesn't quit. And this is the matchup we're going to watch all afternoon. And you get a great look at it here. Now, Geroy Simon's got in behind Eddie Davis. The ball is thrown deep and away. He has a chance to run under it. It hangs up there in the wind a little bit, and you can see Eddie Davis come underneath. But look at that. The last 7 games, almost 6 games, almost 1,000 yards.
Just in the 7-game win streak. That is a 2,400-yard pace. And for the season, he's on pace to challenge Alan Pitt's single-season receiving record. There's a tough kick into the wind. And a short return up across the 40. Brett Dawson, one of the inductees, the Plaza of Honor this weekend in Regina, and he's standing by with Ray Morrison.
Thank you, Chris. Well, Red, what a weekend it's been. It started Friday with 1,200 people honoring some of the past greats like yourself and Ken Reed and Gary Lewis. Give me your thoughts on returning after a great 3-year career in the 70s.
Ray, wow is the big word for me. I'll tell you, it's just been an exceptional weekend. It's so good to be back. Hear these great fans again. I got to run out on the field before the game. I could hardly stand it. I'm just thrilled to be back. It's an incredible weekend.
Now, of course, you played in the 1976 Grey Cup game, and you were mentioning, of course, that's one thing that we'd like to forget here in Saskatchewan, obviously, but as far as your 3 years here, you were talking about some of the players you played with, and Ron Lancaster's going to be the guy that always stands out in your mind.
Well, that's right. Ronnie's one of the greatest quarterbacks in all of history. Doesn't matter what league you're talking about. And to have had the privilege to play with Ronnie is just one of my absolute highlights of my life. Ronnie and I were very close. There was a chemistry that worked. We knew each other immediately. It felt as though we just had a great time.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Red. Appreciate it.
Fine. It's great to be back, and thanks for the time here. It's one of my favorite places on the planet.
Good stuff. Chris.
Right. Congratulations to Rhett Dawson.
I loved I heard what he said in the induction ceremony, and he said, you know, I understand that Canada is a hockey country, but this province is a football province.
Roughriders looking at 2nd and 9 after the completion of Corey Grant and the 1-yard run by Keith. And now a pass for Armstead. Jump ball incomplete. LeVar Glover was in coverage. LeVar Glover did a nice job of turning
when the ball was about to arrive, reading the receiver's eyes, because right now, LeVar Glover is looking at Armstead and trying to decide when is he going to turn back and look for the football. He reads his eyes. When his eyes get big like deer in the headlights, that's when you turn around and expect the ball to arrive, and even veterans receivers will give it away. LeVar Glover played it perfectly in that respect.
Glover, the only starter that hasn't played in all 13 BC games. Hanji's kick looking for the corner, and he'll just miss it. And this will be a single point. And a 9-3 BC lead.
You mentioned the tremendous pace for Geroy Simon. I mean, we're talking record-breaking pace for Geroy Simon. The record right now for Alan Pitts in 1994 is 2,036 yards. There it is right there. And that's the pace for Geroy Simon, which is 1 yard behind a couple of more big games, and he could beat the record. Over 2,000 yards receiving is something else. And a lot of those big yards that he's got this year have been on 10-yard throws that he turns into 60-yard touchdowns.
Of course, he owns the BC record at 1,750 yards 2 years ago. Joe Smith, pretty good collision there as Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker, came in to finish him off. But Simon's been quiet so far today, and Saskatchewan has done a good job on him this year. He has 1 catch for 10 so far.
It's a good matchup because it's a veteran in Eddie Davis who's seen Geroy Simon a bunch and understands him. And then they're going to give Eddie Davis some help with linebackers underneath or the safety over top, Tristan Clovis. So he's going to get a little help on Geroy Simon, and veterans need it too.
2nd and 7. Dickinson in trouble, and down he goes. Terrell Jariniak, defensive player, a couple of weeks ago, has his 7th sack of the year.
Jariniak is going to come from one side of the formation over here, and what he's going to do is loop around. When he loops around, he's going to get open. Here he comes now. He beats the block and gets to Dave Dickinson. Dickinson couldn't go to the backside. Guess what? That matchup was pretty good on that other side between Simon and Eddie Davis. Eddie Davis right up in Simon's face.
Top 2 sack teams in the league. Lions have 2 today, and the Roughriders have just registered their first. Armstead awaiting close to his 40-yard line.
This is where, as a kicker, you want to get a knockdown forearm.
Great kick. Armstead back at his 33, and nowhere to go. Craigs finishes him off. 44 yards, the punt.
Gunter.
Roughriders start at their 30-yard line. Kenton Keith. Oh, what a move that was. And another as Keith robs out of touch at the 47-yard line. Boy, he is fun to watch when he's on his game.
He is. When Kenton Keith is playing his best football, and I think right now he's playing his best football, I'm going to quote the kids on the street. It's sick.
Yeah.
It's just sick. I mean, it's just, look at that move on Otis Floyd, who tried to make himself look like a goalie there and try and stick his leg out. That was his only option after Ken Keith just absolutely undresses him in the open field. I mean, that's where Otis Floyd is going back there looking, okay, there's my shin pads, there's my spat, there's my shoes. I got to pick up all my gear.
Yeah, he's got to re-spat after that.
Whoa.
Game. He's down. Armstead the catch, but nowhere to go as Glover's there quickly. But, you know, Kent Keith's a controversial figure, and sometimes you wonder why Saskatchewan's been so patient, and then you see runs like that, and you know why they have shown patience with Kenton Keith.
It's worth one more look, too, Chris. I agree with you, and you know, he's under new management and maybe a clean slate here with Eric Tillman, and if he can keep it straight in the off the field stuff, they'd love this with him. I mean, that's pretty. That's just sweet.
Or sick.
Or sick.
2nd and 8. They fake the shovel, and Joseph's going to run. And he'll lunge for the necessary yardage.
Kerry Joseph has not run as much since he suffered that knee injury and missed a couple of games. Rocky Butler came in for Saskatchewan for Kerry Joseph, but he looks a lot stronger running the football this afternoon. Because in the last few, when he's got outside and tried to open it up, you could see a noticeable limp from Kerry Joseph. Not so much on that run, he gets up there to the first down territory.
In his first 4 games, he had 250 rushing yards, and you can see he's really had to taper it off because of the sore knee. A bye week may have given him a little more jump in his step. Trouble, and is that a live football? It is. And Charles Thomas hopping on it as they're ruling that was a fumble or perhaps a lateral pass. .246 away from halftime. We'll join the boys in the studio for their thoughts, including the soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Mr. Dunnigan. They'll weigh in on this first half. Lions with a 9-3 lead. Roughriders with the football.
Oh, Matt Dunnigan, and one of the players that could make and will make the top 50 players of all time.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week going over our ballot for the top 50. Second and long after that lateral was ruled, and a pass is picked off. Corey Banks has another interception, his 4th of the year, stepping in front of Armstead.
You know, every quarterback has that clock in the back of his mind, thinking he knows that after about 3 or 4 steamboats with the football in his hands, things start to break down unless he is wide open and a threat to run. And here he's not a threat to run because of Otis Floyd, and by the time he finally gets that ball out of there, you can see that Corey Banks has caught up to Jason Armstead. He was beat early. Armstead had a couple of steps on him as he crossed the middle, but because Kerry Joseph couldn't get the ball out of there, Corey Banks had time to catch up.
So one former Renegade steps in front of another and picks off a former Renegade. 3rd turnover first half for Saskatchewan, and this ball is incomplete. Hot potato, and it was up for grabs.
Looked like it went off the heel of Kendrick Jones. It looked like he had it in his hands, then he dropped it. It went down off his knee, off the back of his heel, bounced up in the air, but ruled incomplete from the get-go.
Glenn, these two teams the best at protecting the football offensively this year. 19 turnovers for BC, 21 for Saskatchewan coming in. But so far today, the Roughriders have coughed it up 3 times. And Dickinson looks at 2nd and 10. From his 53, long out, fell well again. And James Johnson, the rookie corner, hanging on to make the tackle. It'll be close to a first down.
You know, you mentioned the giveaway takeaway, Chris, and I think if you look through the history of football, and Wally Buono has been a guy that preaches this all the time to all his teams. You look through the history of football, the giveaway takeaway category, the teams that are in the plus side and at top of the league are the teams often, almost always, with the best records.
And the Lions have dominated that area. It was a first down. Joe Smith high stepping, a power run to the 40.
The BC Lions have given the ball away a league low 18 times in 12 games. I mean, that is incredible how well they protect the football. And you know what that is a sign of? It is a sign of mental toughness. It is a sign of mental focus. When you're a well-coached team that shows up with focus and mental toughness, you just do not turn the ball over as much as teams that aren't.
2nd and 4 for the Lions. And there's G. Roy Simon's 2nd catch. It's a first down, and Johnson makes sure he doesn't go any further.
The one thing the Lions will do, will try and move G. Roy Simon around to different parts on the field. He's going to play outside here. G. Roy Simon now will go to the wide side of the field. The first part of this game, he's been on the short side, and when he's there, he's always met Eddie Davis. Now they move him to the wide side of the field. He sees James Johnson, a rookie. So the Lions have within their game plan, Jacques Chapdelaine has the ability to move G. Roy Simon to different positions to get him open.
There's Dickinson looking the other way for Simon. Incomplete.
Just a ton of different formations. And what happens there is defensively, if you're moving Geroy Simon around, defensively, it becomes harder to double team him because you have to use your entire personnel. You can't just get settled in with walking a linebacker out to him and then having Eddie Davis behind him. What you have to do now, if he lines up at the wide, who do you double with? The corner and the halfback? It changes the dynamic for a defense to move him around.
Second and 10 for the Lions. Just over a minute remaining here in the first half. And here's Reggie Hunt on the blitz, but he jumped the snap, and we'll find out. Maybe the Lions also moved.
Yeah, it's awful tough to tell when it happens that quickly whether or not an offensive lineman flinched. Once they get down in that 3-point stance, the 2 feet and the hand on the ground, that's the 3 points. Once they get down like that, they can't move at all.
Procedure, BC number 60, 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
So they move it back 5. You know, it's fun listening to ball players talk about their big plays. And last week, Geroy Simon had the 81-yard touchdown catch. And he said he knew it was a touchdown when he went and lined up before the ball was snapped. He had the matchup he wanted. It was against a linebacker, and it was a quick 6. Dickinson underneath. Thelwell. Ryan Thelwell is contained by Eddie Davis.
That's interesting that he said that, because Geroy Simon, that shows you the other side of Geroy Simon. That shows you what he does mentally to prepare for games. When he can line up in the line of scrimmage before the snap of the ball and know he has the right matchup and the right defense, that's a good sign. And it's just a matter of, can he beat Eddie Davis here this afternoon? But that's a sign that Simon is not only prepared physically, he's also prepared mentally.
Roughriders have called a timeout so they can maximize their use of the clock for their final possession, as the BC Lions will survey a field goal attempt of 42 yards into the breeze.
And that's a tough breeze to kick into. Remember, you got Jason Armstead back there with the great speed and ability to return a missed field goal. And it's a type of play that can really change the momentum of a game in a hurry.
Laughed at Paul McCallum. Sounded like an old-timer yesterday. He was talking about the fact that the wind doesn't blow quite as much here at Taylor Field like it used to in the old days. And you're right, they are going to punt instead of try the 42-yarder. He'll look for the corner. Or will he? No, he'll just kick it into the end zone, and Armstead's going to give up the single, and you want to get that knee down quickly. You've got 57 seconds to work with offensively here in the first half.
Well, that makes it a 7-point game for Wally Buono, and I'm assuming that the head coach of the Lions decided to kick for the single, make it the 7-point lead, thinking that his defense will not allow Saskatchewan, with this time remaining, to go down and get in their own field goal range. Although they do have the wind at their back, and that should help them. But McCallum didn't look like he was at all trying to angle that football to the sideline.
Of course, a field goal missed also sets up the possibility of a bigger return. Saskatchewan takes over at the 35. Again, just under a minute for Joseph to cut into this lead. That ball batted down and picked up by Charles Thomas. And another new receiver for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
That was like volleyball. That was being set and reset and passed. And
see who gets their hand on this. Yeah, that's Aaron Hunt, I believe.
Yeah, Aaron Hunt with the big right arm, and then it bounced off a couple of defenders and then into the hands of Charles Thomas.
That is the 12th knockdown by one of the front 5 of the Lions this year. Second and 10. Whoa! Warren Murphy thought he was going to get nailed by Baron Miles. He was able to slide off the initial contact. Corey Banks ends up taking him down after an 8-yard pickup, and it's third down Saskatchewan.
You know, just to wrap up that point, though, Chris, you made about the field goal attempt and whether Wally Buono should have maybe attempted a field goal there. When you're into that kind of wind, the decision to punt it's often dictated by personnel. So you put your punt team on the field, you have better cover men to go down and make the tackle. Now, it didn't look like they tried to angle it to the sideline, so they were going for the single point, but you have better coverment. If Paul McCallum tries a field goal into that wind and misses, now you have offensive linemen covering, and they don't tackle as well in the open field. So that's why you make that decision and go ahead and try and punt the ball rather than try a field goal.
Now Wally Buono's used his timeout with 36 seconds remaining. Maybe the Lions could do something offensively with a half minute to go.
Well, they're going to put one returner back, Ian Smart, and they're going to put 11 on the line of scrimmage. Doesn't always mean block, but if you're going to go for the block, that's what you do. You put 11 up there. Now, the way they're lined up, I would say they're setting up a return.
Been a defensive battle. This is the 12th punt of the opening half. Ian Smart in his first Lions game. Up to the 35-yard line, 26 seconds remaining.
Don't know if that's enough time for Dave Dickinson. He likely won't be able to get anyone in behind coverage. Although having said that, I've said that before, and Geroy Simon has run right by everybody on a 10-yard throw. So that's a possibility. But you know, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will play off. Eddie Davis right now is directing traffic to the entire team. And does he, in 26 seconds, he has to get probably to the 30-yard line, maybe even closer for a realistic field goal attempt.
Checked off, and the outlet pass dropped as nothing was downfield for Dickinson. 5 seconds burnt off the clock.
The other thing is for Dave Dickinson here, he had that ball knocked down. Remember when he had Geroy Simon open on the sideline against Eddie Davis early on? The wind really knocked that ball down, so it's more difficult for him to throw deep into this wind, and in order to get some points here, he's got to be a little careful if you're thinking BC Lions here, but he doesn't turn the football over.
2nd and 10. One way and now the other for Claremont. Jackie Mitchell's there. And the tackle made by the corner, James Johnson. Dozen seconds remaining, and now McCallum's going to have to kick into the wind or at least put a knee down and run the clock out.
Claremont getting his hands on the football, the former Robert Usher Collegiate High School star, which is right here in the province of Saskatchewan. And you know what position he played in high school?
No.
Quarterback.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently it was a real good one, and was scouted as a quarterback, but then injured his throwing shoulder, and they converted him to a receiver because of it, which turned out to be a pretty good decision.
I wonder how many times Eric Tillman's been asked since he took over as GM how he missed drafting Jason Claremont. Well, that is the end of the opening half. The defense is dictating things. And after 30 minutes of football, the Lions have the lead.
Live at the half, brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. Do Wendy's, do what tastes right.
TSN's Top 50 CFL Players, presented by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra.
Hand off Reed, no stopping him. Touchdown!
For 13 years, he suited up with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, winning his only Grey Cup in 1966. George Reed ran all over the CFL during his illustrious career, and he ran into the record books as well. The numbers are startling. 3,200 carries, 134 rushing touchdowns, the most in league history, and his 16,116 career rushing mark remained the league standard for an incredible 29 years. 13 years on the football field, he ran for 1,000 yards 11 times.
That's good stuff. The TSN Top 50 CFL Players list will be unveiled as part of the Grey Cup festivities in Winnipeg. And for more information on the program and the complete list of nominees, go to tsn.ca/CFL Top 50. So a low-scoring affair at the half, and Regina's the BC Lions have the 7-point lead. Saskatchewan, Dave Randolph, by the way, Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, Josh Clymer. You know, we've been in their homes long enough now this season. I think you know the drill. So, Saskatchewan coming off a bye week and a loss. Little rusty, just 3 points at a half in front of another big crowd at home. Just the safety and the Rouge, the conceded safety in the Rouge. Just one touchdown, Jocko, and it was aided greatly by a key personnel substitution. Explain.
Yeah, well, you know how sometimes they say a picture tells 1,000 words. Well, here you have a substitution, which is supposed to tell the whole story for the BC Lions. Lots of teams this year are using their backup quarterback in short yardage situations. The BC Lions are no exception. Buck Pierce has been coming in and handing the football off or diving straight ahead. So here he comes into the football game, first down, 3 or 4 yards to go, and what they do is they go with a play action. And now you have Bringay, who comes into the game, and he's right here, and you're just going to see him go right out into the flats. Now, normally you also see the usual Johnson right in the corner. Everybody's seen Brent Johnson catch the corner on the play action. But here, Buck Pierce comes in and throws a strike to Bringay. Alexi played for Kentucky. He's a great addition at fullback for them. But I love the confidence they showed in Buck Pierce. Most teams don't want their second-string quarterback coming in cold off the bench and throwing the ball in that situation. But they trust this guy enough that no warm-up, throw him in there, expecting to hand it off, and he doesn't. It's awesome.
Well, Jocko, let me go even further before and what set up that touchdown, because I thought it was a magnificent piece of psychology for Wally Buono and also Jacques Chapdelaine, because these guys, their game started before the game started. There was a mini brawl, and both of the coaches had to settle down their players. So what does Wally Buono and Jacques Chapdelaine do? They don't run finesse plays, they run physical plays, because the worst thing they could have done are drop back, quarterback passes, allowing the defense to tee off on the offense. And it was the exact opposite. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times Wally Buono ran his 234-pound fullback. Why? Because he's a former player, and he knew his players were in rage. So use that to your advantage.
Schultz, where's that running back from, that guy you're talking about?
Joe Smith?
Yeah.
Louisiana Tech.
Yes, Louisiana Tech. Thank you, Schultz. I got to get that in there one time a show.
Why?
Hey, why? Because he's a bulldog, and they like to stand up on their hind legs and bark like a dog. Whoa, whoa. I'm telling you, another guy who was barking like a dog was Kenton Keith in that first half. I'm going to go back. Glenn Suter talked about it in the first half. We're just going to show you, folks, what this guy can do. Watch Otis, what he does to Otis Floyd. Otis Floyd is one of the best tacklers in the league. He just signed a long-term contract with the Lions, and he's going to see Kenton Keith in his dreams. There's nightmares, and here's another look at it. And this is why we go to the games. Look at that. It's perfect form tackling there by Otis. He's flat-footed, and then he's in good position. He's squared up, and then Kenton Keith goes, whoop, and makes a miss. And I'm telling you, that's why we go to the ballparks. That's why we watch the game, to see special players like that make special plays.
From the Louisiana Tech grad, that was sweet. But you know what? Nothing gets Schultz's attention more than a little pregame brawl, huh?
Yeah.
Should have seen him, folks. He was getting ready to watch this game, getting his nose. Whoa, look at that. There was a fight there. Awesome. And you were just ready to go from that point forward and watching that whole storyline develop. It has been an intense game.
It has,
and I think
David.
it's going to be an intense second half.
I hope so.
I know you do. The BC Lions lost on a Friday night back on July 14th, have not lost since. They lost to Saskatchewan. We asked you in the poll question, who do you think is going to win the West? Those were the choices. This is what you said, a dominant 52% of your vote going to the BC Lions. Well, tomorrow, they're very excited about this down the hall and, in fact, throughout all the hallways at TSN. HD. Tomorrow, Sports Center is going to be in crystal clear, high definition with your anchor, Rod Smith, beginning at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Here are the halftime numbers for the football game, brought to you by Coors Light, the Silver Bullet.
David, I told you that BC led the league with 38 takeaways. You can add 3 more to that. They now have 41, and that largely is the reason why they're winning this first half.
You make it sound like I don't listen to you. I always listen, and I always listen when Wally Buono talks with our Ray Morrison.
Wally, your team on defense was rather opportunistic. They also had the penalty on the punt return as well. You got to be pretty happy with the way your guys held the home team at bay in the first half.
Well, it's been a tough game, and we expected it to be this kind of a game, so nobody's surprised, and, obviously the win's a factor right now.
Talk to me about your offense. Give me an assessment of what you're doing offensively with the football.
We're doing some good things, but, we can't take penalties when we're in the score zone. That took points off the board, and, those are the kind of things we got to stay away from.
Thanks, Wally.
Over in the East, in case you missed the game one of our doubleheader, there is now a three-way tie atop the CFL's East Division after this 17-14 win by the Bombers in Montreal. It's the 6th straight loss for the Alouettes.
Third quarter straight ahead, but first Ray Morrison with Saskatchewan coach Danny Barrett.
Okay, Chris, Danny, some turnovers you'd like to have back, no doubt. What did you address with your team here in the break?
Well, you know, that's the difference in the ball game, the 3 turnovers, and we're characteristic of a team that doesn't turn the football over, so we got to do a better job of that and just keep doing what we're doing. You know, our running game is looking good. We just got to make plays, especially this third quarter.
Okay, thanks for this, Danny.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris, back to you.
Again, Danny Barrett's team, the last to defeat the BC Lions, who have won 7 straight. Lions trying to move back into sole possession of first place in the CFL West, and the Roughriders trying to pull 2 points more ahead of the Edmonton Eskimos, who lost that crushing game on Friday night. However, Saskatchewan loses today. They have Edmonton next. They have Edmonton twice before the season's over, and so the 4-point spread could shrink in a hurry.
Sure can. The Edmonton Eskimos, well, it's an uphill battle for them. It's not over because of the fact that they play Saskatchewan again. And the Lions, to open this second half, will do that bunch kickoff and try a sky ball. Nope.
Again, McCallum with a kick downfield, and Armstead may have some room to return. Tyson Craigs can't come up with it, but Armstead runs out of real estate at the 39-yard line. Let's see how the quarterbacks fared against 2 stingy defenses in the first half.
Well, the yardage is down a little bit, 83 yards for Dave Dickinson. Certainly not characteristic of his abilities, and 110 for Kerry Joseph. I think the wind is affecting these quarterbacks a lot more than maybe we've talked about. I mean, it's stronger than it looks at times. So the flags, you know, it looks like a little bit of a breeze, but it's blowing pretty hard down there.
As it was earlier today in Montreal, so back-to-back defensive battles on TSN. Here's Kendall Keith. Danny Barrett liked his running game in the first half. Keith doesn't want to go down, but turnovers were critical in that first half.
He did mention the turnovers, and you know, the turnovers were takeaways by the BC Lions, and they were takeaway through hustle plays. That was Tyrone Williams. Great hustle in the back, and look at this one. This one now, maybe the refs missed one there. Dante Marsh foot on the white stripe when he picked up that fumble, but that was a turnover and hustle play by Otis Floyd. And this is Corey Banks. He hustles across the field with Jason Armstead. So hustle plays from the Lions.
2nd and 5, and Joseph has another pass batted down. That's the second time that one of the big front 4, and Aaron Hunt got his mitts on another.
Aaron Hunt wants to try and catch up to Brent Johnson. Brent Johnson has stats in almost every category, and one of them is knockdowns. He comes into this game tied for the team lead in knockdowns, so Aaron Hunt gets involved. And that's sacrificing your body, because Hunt, in order to get his hands up there, knew he was going to get thrown to the turf and did it anyway.
You know, they liked Aaron Hunt early this year, but lately he is really starting to pile up the defensive stats as he adjusts his game to the Canadian Football League. Kanji kicking. And Smart with the return, ran into one of his own blockers and then bounced away. And Chris Zarka finally has to bring him down at the 45-yard line. So Dave Dickinson with great field position to open the second half. Talking to Dave yesterday, he admitted that it's a tough defense and a tough team for he and the BC Lions to play against.
Well, both he and Wally Bono told us yesterday that both their defenses are similar in that they're very quick. They get to the ball in a hurry, and that's what makes them good.
Punch to the right side. Geroy Simon headed that way. And a flag down as Simon is tossed out at the bench. And that may draw another marker. Let's see Jackie Mitchell in the fray. And Jackie defending the way he handled things and maybe lost a mouth guard in the process.
Jackie Mitchell's in the middle of the Lions' den right now. He's right in the den.
Holding. BC number 3. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
So Thelwell gets the holding call, and no damage done for Mitchell on the way he took Simon to the sidelines.
Let's take a look at the end of that again, because it looked pretty close, like Jackie Mitchell may get unnecessary roughness there. He has him call it here now. He's out, but it looked like he kind of tried to hold him up as he was coming down.
So it's 1st and 20. Short drop Dickinson, and nothing doing. Brought down Scott Schultz and Nate Davis, the two defensive tackles for the Roughriders, converging on the quarterback. And Davis will get his first sack of the year.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the line of scrimmage. One of them, the first guy I showed you, was Tristan Clovis, the safety, who didn't disguise anything. He comes up on the line of scrimmage and he's coming after it. Now 5 just means a stunt, not necessarily a blitz. So zone coverage behind, and Nate Davis gets there.
Check that third sack for Nate. The guy who had 18 over the 2003-2004 season. 2nd and 25. Dickinson looking, and now finds Smith, and Kenyatta Jones is there. Big defensive series for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
You know, Dave Dickinson looks like he's struggling a little bit throwing into this wind here in Saskatchewan. G-Roy Simon is one of the deeper routes in this pattern, and here's G-Roy on the opposite side of the field. Again, it's Eddie Davis in the matchup. G-Roy Simon is open to the sideline, but he's down the field about 30-35 yards, and Dickinson looked the opposite direction and dumped it off. And I'm wondering if his range is limited, Dickinson, against this wind.
Lions will have the breeze at their back in the 4th quarter. Right now, a 7-point BC lead. Armstead awaiting at the Saskatchewan 45. And McCallum continues to kick well into the wind. At the 35, Armstead. And he's got a return up across the 50-yard line. 44-yard punt. 17 for Armstead.
SIGA is celebrating 10 years of sharing success. The Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority is building and enriching
Play Safeway $1 million touchdown to win. If your name appears.
Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Castrol. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Holding penalty against Luke Mullender, and they bring the ball back. But Matt Dominguez has a catch, and he'll get it back around the 50-yard line. The Mullender hold cost them 27 yards, but Dominguez comes up big.
Corey Banks has not come up. He's just now getting up off the turf, and this is one-on-one where Dante Mars tries to jump the route a little bit. He comes underneath on that curl, and he misses the football. And Baron Miles, the safety, bails him out, and that's where Corey Banks gets hit at the end of that play. Right. He finally got himself up.
So they lost 27 on the holding penalty on the punt, but they get 25 back on the 4th catch of the game from Matt Dominguez.
You want to take advantage, if you're Saskatchewan, of the wind at your back.
Play action, they faked it to Heath, and Joseph and the University of Western product has his first catch. As Ventus slowly makes his way into the starting lineup for Saskatchewan.
13 catches for 173 yards, has not found the end zone just yet, but he is working his way in. In fact, this game this afternoon, Ventus has played, and he started as sort of the 5th receiver for Saskatchewan the last couple of games, but this game was the first time he actually ran out as an introduced starter.
Well, there's a real cause for concern right now on the Saskatchewan sidelines. Matt Dominguez went down immediately on that play, clutching his right knee.
He's on the outside. He breaks out, and Ventus is behind him, and there's the push from the back as Dante Mars tries to. Dante Marsh gave him a little shove in the back to get to the tackle. And on the way over there, Baron Miles, it looked like he might have got his legs crossed up with Matt Dominguez.
So Dominguez gets attention, and we'll take a timeout.
Click away.
Well, it is great to see Matt Dominguez putting weight on that right knee, the same knee that he injured last year, missed most of the season. He is out at the moment, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have a first down. Kenton Keith trying to spin off the tackle this time, and no success as Javi Glatt, the middle linebacker, brings him down with help from Otis Floyd.
Looked like Matt Dominguez got crossed up with Baron Miles. Baron Miles was coming across to try and help in the tackle on Fantus, and his leg is going to collide right about there, the left leg, and you could see how Dominguez's knee bounced forward and bent in a direction it's not supposed to, and just hope that he will be okay. He's trying to walk it off on the sideline. In the meantime, Jason French comes in for him. Eric Tillman was watching our monitor on the sideline, obviously very concerned. His leading receiver.
2nd and 11, 4 receivers wide side. That's where Kerry Joseph's looking deep. Jump ball, incomplete, intended for Joe Murphy, and there's Baron Miles, the safety, in support defensively.
Well, he covers a lot of ground here, Baron Miles, and probably, if not for his teammate LeVar Glover, Miles has his 9th interception of the season. But of course, in fairness to LeVar Glover, he's not sure if his teammate's going to get there. So there you go. There's the intended receiver. Now, at the end of this play, you see Glover drops in the zone. He's got the deep outside 3rd zone there, and there's the help from the guy who plays the middle. And they both try and get to that football to high point.
Boy, you've got a tough decision. Is Brent Johnson the best defensive player on BC?
Yeah.
Is it Baron Miles' 53-yard field goal attempt with the wind at the back of Luka Kanji? And the kid's got it. His longest of his rookie season, and he's now 27 of 29. Tuesday and Wednesday, catch the Blue Jays taking on the Tigers in Detroit. Coverage beginning both nights, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, available in TSN high definition. As the baseball season winds down, it's a 10-6 game here. And a pass complete to Paris Jackson, who had a 100-yard receiving game earlier this season against Saskatchewan.
Saw Luka Kanji make a nice field goal there. You know, these two kickers have been a pretty good story. It's one of those deals where both teams worked out pretty well for them. You know, the Saskatchewan Roughriders after 2004, when Paul McCallum, unfortunately for him, missed a very short, makeable field goal in the West Final in BC Place Stadium, and his days were numbered. According to Roy Shivers, after that, he signs with BC. That's worked out great for the Lions, and Luka Kanji's come on and played well for Saskatchewan. So it all turned out pretty good for both teams.
2nd down, Claremont the catch. And Claremont swarmed there. Fred Perry quickly on the scene to finish him off and force the Lions into a 2-and-out.
This is starting to become the type of game that the BC Lions play in this stadium every time they come here. Those low-scoring, hard-nosed, you know, battle in the trenches. It's going to come down to maybe one turnover or one big play one way or the other, and it may come on the special teams. This is the type of game the Lions play in this stadium every time.
Armstead awaiting. See if McCallum continues to drill the ball against the wind. This one not as deep. And that's a shorter kick. Armstead gets the new yards and ends up near midfield. So Saskatchewan in good shape here when they come on offense. Tomorrow night, NFL on TSN. Monday Night Football has Michael Vick and the Falcons taking on rookie Reggie Bush and the Saints in New Orleans. Coverage begins with NFL Countdown at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, available in TSN HD. A couple of 2-0 teams as the NFL goes back to the Superdome after the ravages of Hurricane Katrina last year. No yards was declined. They take the return, and Saskatchewan at the 54-yard line. Just under 7.5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. 10-6 Lions. Joseph steps up. And a completion. Look who's back in the game. Good news. Dominguez with the catch. Javi Glatt with the tackle, and we'll join Ray Morrison.
Chris, just talking with the staff here on the Rough Rider bench, they're saying Matt Dominguez suffered a thigh injury. It was actually above the knee in his upper leg, and that was the shot he took on the right leg. So he's back in. He ran it off during the break and is back in, obviously.
That's good news. That's great news for Saskatchewan. I mean, that's going to be a bruise. Probably hurt a little bit more tomorrow when it swells up a bit, but should be able to finish this game.
13 on the 5th catch of the game for Dominguez into Lions territory. Joseph rolling, pressure, and he'll throw it away with Naughton McKay Lozier in pursuit, along with big Tyrone Williams.
Saskatchewan offensive line has done a better job this afternoon than, say, Montreal did against this BC Lion front four. I mean, this is a team coming off of a 12-sack football game, and that offensive line who's had to make a couple of changes. You see Antonio Hall right there. He's had to fill in. Lazio is hurt. He's out of the lineup. Fred Childress is out of the lineup.
One thing they've got with Hall is a guy that's been in camp for 2 years. Saw a lot of action in the preseason, so it's not just somebody who showed up a couple of weeks ago that they had to plug in. 2nd and 10. Joseph threw that back against the grain. We've got a flag down from one of the back officials. And while they sort this out, we should mention that Fred Childress is not here today. Unfortunately, he had to return to his home in Arkansas for the funeral of his mother, and our condolences to Fred Childress, who has had a lot of great years in this league.
Yes, he has.
Wally Buono couldn't help but talk about how dominant a player he was with his Calgary Stampeders a few years back.
There is no infraction on the play. The pass was behind the line of scrimmage. The block downfield is illegal. 3rd down.
So the Rough Riders go to 3rd down, and Kanji, who made the 53-yarder, will get a chance to try another long-range bomb. This one will be from just outside 50. One of the many field goal kickers with the high percentage this year. This guy operating at over 93%. Rocky Butler, the holder. Get it up in the air, and he puts another through. So Kanji gets them within 1. .5:35 to go 3rd quarter. Dickinson in trouble. Ball batted and caught. Joe Smith with the catch behind the line of scrimmage, but that one almost was a nightmare for the Lions.
Well, one of the things for the Lions, though, is that early on they had success with Joe Smith. They went to him, and now the Saskatchewan defense, because they haven't over the 2nd quarter and part of this one, they haven't gone to Joe Smith as much. Now, this play action is not really fooling anybody. You could see Maurice Lloyd just step up in there. He was not buying the play action fake to Joe Smith.
Nate Davis getting his hands on it. It's a loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Saskatchewan defense is dug in. Underneath, Paris Jackson and Reggie Hunt all over him. Just a short gain, another 2 and out here in the 3rd quarter for BC.
And the reason for that is that the guy that the Lions wanted to go to was Geroy Simon, who was at 1st down territory, and you're gonna see what the attention Saskatchewan's paying to him. There's Eddie Davis over the top. Geroy Simon turns inside, and right beside Simon was Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker, who got enough depth to help out on Simon and allow that underneath pass. So basically, Saskatchewan dictated where Dave Dickinson was throwing the football.
So the defense does the job, and the Rough Riders trying to take advantage of the wind here in the 3rd quarter. That one hanging up Armstead with a return back close to the 50-yard line. So Kerry Joseph has 4 minutes and 15 seconds with the wind at his back. And now just a 1-point difference in the football game.
Yeah, and that's important, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. In fact, oftentimes teams will go into hurry-up offense. Even though it's the 3rd quarter, they'll run the hurry-up when they have the wind at their back. Now, Saskatchewan hasn't done that, but 4-15 is an important 4-15. They've got a couple long field goals, but you want to try and rally and get as many points as you can with the win.
Bench formation to the wide side. Play action fake to Keith, and now Joseph wants to go deep. And looks for Keith out of the backfield, incomplete.
Now this is, you talked offensive line, Chris. Now that's incomplete. Kenton Keith went on the play action, went all the way out to the left side of the formation, ran a wheel route, which is a two-cut route, basically. He comes in here, he's gonna go from there, he's gonna go all the way out here, then he goes down there, and then he turns right. I mean, that took a long, long time, but Kerry Joseph has time. Look at how much time he has to throw the football. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4. He's got tons of time, no one around him. This is against the BC Lion front seven.
Well, of course, you've got an offensive line that includes Gene Makowski, top offensive lineman in the league the last 2 years, 2nd and 10. And this time the time runs out, and Joseph just throws it away.
Well, you were wondering, you were wondering when it was going to happen. I mean, and you know that a team as competitive as the Lions have been up front are not going to allow Joseph to have that kind of time. And guess who's the guy who ignites it? It's going to be Brent Johnson who gets him going again off the edge. Here he comes from the outside, working one-on-one on Charles Thomas, and he's the guy who gets there, and he often is the guy who gets this defense going.
Neither Brent Johnson or Fred Perry, the top 2 sack men in the league, have added to their stats so far this afternoon. Kanji puts it into the wind. Over Smart's head into the end zone, and this game will be tied. Single by Luka Kanji. Game is tied. Handoff to Joe Smith. And Smith with a good run. Fred Perry brings him down, but it's close to a first down at the 45. A reminder, you can vote for today's Rogers Player of the Game during the 4th quarter. Send to Go CFL. Rogers brings you the latest MP3 phones.
Ken Keith had the best play of the game. I know that for sure, and he may become the player of the game, but that move on Otis Floyd, that baby was sweet, and that was the best play. You know, the other guy that right now, if it was a gladiator night, the guy that I'd be looking at right now is that one over there, Tyrone Williams. He's been playing in the middle of that line and made that hustle play to cause the turnover. And
you mean the guy blocking out the sun?
Yeah, that's him. That's him over there.
Yeah, he has made some plays today, and it's the kind of day where it probably should be a defensive player.
And does he look like a guy who can run? I mean, he looks like a guy who's good in the trenches, strong. I mean, you can see he's strong. But he ran down Kenton Keith from behind to create a fumble with those arms.
I wonder if he's reminded Wally Buono that he caught a touchdown pass here last time in. Put me in, coach. First down for the Lions. And on a roll, Claremont takes the Dickinson pass. At the 51, brought down by James Johnson. We should make the point suits as there's a late flag. Nate Davis involved here with Rob Murphy again, but you were telling me in commercial that's not what Luka Kanji really wanted out of the 80-yard punt.
No, not when they have the wind at their back. They're around 3 minutes. He wanted to angle that out and keep the field position advantage and get a quick 2 and out.
Unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 98. 15-yard penalty from the point the ball is dead. First down.
Those two have been going at it all game long. That was again Rob Murphy and Jason Jimenez in there, but Nate Davis gets called there, and that'll change field position again in favor of the Lions. And this time now is starting to tick away for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the wind at their back. And that's why Luka Kanji would rather have angled it. I know at the point tied the game, but if he can angle it out, they keep the field position advantage.
Instead, the Lions have something going. Penalty-aided drive. Dickinson, Smith. And that's a great defensive play by Reggie Hunt, although Smith didn't want to go down. 5 straight years Reggie Hunt has led the Saskatchewan Roughriders in tackles. Number 2 in the league behind only Barron Simpson.
Well, and it is a good tackle because he has to get in behind. There's a center. Angus Reid is going to come out after he snapped that football. He gets out there, and he's out there along with Sherko Rajuli, and Rajuli and him have the picket fence set up. And Hunt got in behind that.
Well, he doesn't want younger brother getting all the headlines in this game. Aaron Hunt's had a big day. Dickinson 2nd and 10, and overthrows Claremont.
Yeah.
Tough coverage there. Reggie Hunt was step for step with Jackie Mitchell there too.
Yeah, but that was the wind. That was the wind that affected that throw. Not because it knocked it down, but because Dave Dickinson throwing into that wind right now, he tried to put more on that throw, and when he went to put more on the throw, he completely overthrew the target. He tried to compensate for the wind and overdid it.
So now McCallum to punt. Let's see if he can get it inside the 15. Good kick. And the return to the 10-yard line. So 2 seconds remaining. Just one last play for Saskatchewan with the wind at their back in a 10-all tie.
Yeah, Paul McCallum is another guy that could get votes here for player of the game, and including maybe even Luka Kanji, the two kickers in this game. McCallum's punting into the wind has been absolutely outstanding. That was a 40-yarder. He's kept the ball low, he's kept a tight spiral, and he's keeping the BC Lions in pretty good field position when he's had to kick into that wind. Now, Luka Kanji's also played well in the field goal department with 2 long ones, but that's been some pretty good punting from Paul McCallum.
Should be the final play of the third quarter. Sidestep, move to the 17-yard line, maybe the 18. Gain of 8 on the final play of the third quarter. Tied at 10 here in Regina. Some field position? No. Well, I mean, they're at the 18-yard line, eh?
Yeah, just try and get, yeah.
What's up? Third quarter action and stats brought to you by Rona, proud league-wide sponsor of the CFL.
Well, this is where, for Saskatchewan offensively, Kenton Keith is huge, because now they're going into the wind and they need to kill some time and move the football methodically down there. The Lions and Dave Dickinson now has the wind, and we likely see some more G. Simon with Dickinson having the wind at his back.
This could be a big drive for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They start at their 10, 8 yards for Keith right away, but they've probably not thinking points here, but let's move that football down the field and make sure the Lions don't get great field position.
That's right. Time of possession and try and play in the Lions side of the field.
So a big 2nd down and 2 situation. Zarka and Keith in the eye, and it'll be Chris Zarka falling ahead, and does he have enough as he stretches out?
See Kerry Joseph reach behind him and give a little signal to his running back there just before he snapped the football. It looked like he changed the direction of that play to Chris Zarka right at the last second while he was in his cadence, something that doesn't often happen.
This will require a measurement, and it will put a lot of heat on Danny Barrett if they are short.
Well, the Lions defensively right now are trying to get that quick out here if they can, and force Danny Barrett to make the decision. Do you gamble with that much to go, as Otis Floyd gives Danny Barrett the signal of how far he has to go, or do you go out? Now Danny Barrett is also faced with this. Does he give up 2 points when he's facing this wind, or does Luka Kanji try and punt the football, knowing the field position for the Lions is almost automatic?
So the punt unit is on. And remember, the decision for Wally Buono to give up a safety earlier turned out to be a good one.
I think I'd give up a safety, but
Kanji's going to kick it away and does a nice job. Gets it on the ground, and it bounces around Smart. No yards will be the call, and Smart has BC on the Saskatchewan side of midfield. A 39-yard punt, and then the no yards penalty as we join Ray Morrison.
We're here in the stands here with the Hunt family. This is Virginia, Aaron, and Reggie's aunt, and this is Mom Regina, who is witnessing her sons play against one another for the first time. What's it been like?
Very exciting, very exciting.
Now you have to stand up and model these shirts here for us. Look at this. We have Aaron on one side, Reggie on the other, and then on the back, the Hunt in the orange and green. So you can show no sort of favoritism at all here with regards to this. What is the big attribute that these two guys have to play at this level? If you had to describe these two sons of yours, what would it be?
I can't describe it. They need this game. They need this, both of them need this game, however. I think if Reggie lost this game today, if that's what you're asking me, if Reggie lost this game today, I don't think he can handle it, because it has to be the big brother. The big brother has to win. On the other hand, I can't go for the big brother without going for the little brother. So it's just exciting to me.
You know, it's really interesting. I talked to Reggie and I said, who do you think that Mom's going to cheer for, Reggie or Aaron? His answer was simple. When talking about the defensive lineman and the linebacker, Reggie said, well, she'll cheer for the defense. Chris, back to you.
Thank you, Ray. You just saw Fred Perry chalk up his 13th sack of the year. That ties Brent Johnson for the lead. And the defense comes up big after a penalty on the return against the Lions.
The BC Lions tried to slide, protect their offensive line to the left, and Fred Perry just picked a gap and shot through it.
Regina Hunt's going to be backing a winner on one side or another. Right now, she's got to love the fact it's tied. Second and a bunch for Dickinson. Couldn't find anybody. Now Claremont, and he can't make the catch. Jackie Mitchell in coverage, but Claremont usually makes that one.
You know, there's one other vote for player of the game that should be considered so far in this one. Claremont should have had that. I mean, that's a Claremont. He catches that. He catches that 9 out of 10, sometimes 10 out of 10. But you know who the other player of the game nominee should be right now? Eddie Davis. Because watch what he does with G. Roy Simon. And look at this, right in the hip pocket. Dave Dickinson has time. He's trying to find his star receiver. You see a little bit of double coverage, but look at Eddie Davis. He must be G. Roy Simon's uniform.
Now, when you're not talking about the DBs, it's usually a good thing. And we're only talking about Eddie Davis because he's not involved in any tackles, and he's keeping G. Roy Simon at bay. 12-year veteran, twice an All-Canadian. Gary Joseph and Saskatchewan back on offense. It's Purolator Day here at Mosaic Stadium in Regina, and for every sack in today's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purolator, where business is going, a terrific program which has raised over 700,000 pounds of food for Canadian food banks.
1 and 2 going at it here this afternoon.
Fred Perry has tied Brent Johnson for the league lead at 13. Gary Joseph, nice move there, another, and does get it away to Sarka, the intended receiver. Mark Washington got his hands on the football, but he was out of bounds. Gary Joseph really took a lick.
Well, he jumped around a couple of times, and I guess Aaron Hunt, he saw the interview with Mom, and so he wanted to get involved. So brother Reggie Hunt didn't get all the accolades, because he's right there. That's his helmet under the chin of Kerry Joseph. But you mentioned Fred Perry. Fred Perry just ties Brent Johnson right now in the game. Brent Johnson with a couple of hurries and one hit, a couple of hits and one hurry. Fred Perry with 3 hits and 1 sack.
Second and 10. Joseph, Keith, past Mark Washington. And Kenton Keith with a big first down. Making another man miss, but shaken up on the play.
Mark Washington, one of the best tacklers. We'll see what happens with Kenton Keith. Looked like he may have got the wind knocked out of him down there, but we'll see on that. But watch the tackling out here. Mark Washington is one of the best tacklers in the game from the secondary, and he gets inside position. See, if he stays outside, he's got help from Javier Glad on the inside. He gets beat to the outside, and he loses that outside leverage, and that's why Kenton Keith, I think he may have fell on the football out there.
Looks like that was the case as Javi Glatt finishes him off, but that move around Washington able to buy Saskatchewan a fresh set of downs. Kenton Keith has been the most dangerous weapon on the field so far today.
Basically, when you're trying to tackle in the open field, you attack. If one guy's on the outside attacking outside in, he's got to keep and maintain that leverage. Looks like Kenton Keith will be okay. And then the inside, you get help from the pursuit. And Mark Washington there, because of the great feet of Kenton Keith, he gets beat to the outside. Doesn't happen very often to Washington. And I think Kenton Keith fell on the football. He's kind of holding his stomach.
Bracey comes in for Keith, who is playing his 50th game as a Saskatchewan Roughrider today. First down, and Joseph in some trouble, and down he goes. Well, the front turned it up that time for the BC Lions, and Aaron Hunt involved again.
Aaron Hunt, Tyrone Williams, and Brent Johnson. And you know, for a team that has got so much talent at receiver and running back, and just watch the inside three here. I mean, receiver and running back, and all the great talent at quarterback. I mean, we talk as much about those guys on the defensive line for this football team than you do about all those stars.
That was Tyrone Williams, and not Hunt getting to the quarterback. 2nd and 13. Joseph Fantuz, and Andy Fantuz, the rookie, a catch in traffic at the 39 and a first down, and the kid looks like a keeper.
Well, he's got great hands. I mean, that may sound like an automatic, but not all receivers have great hands. Some of them will show great speed. Some are great route runners. They can all catch, obviously, but this guy has great hands. That is a big catch. He knows he's going to get hit from Carl Kidd, but he hangs on. And the more he does that, the more playing time he'll get, and the more confidence that Kerry Joseph will get in him.
Rewrote the CIS record book at Western, got 13 when they needed it. Big Bracey with a run, but not much there. Off the right side.
We've seen Matt Dominguez get involved. Now we're seeing Fantuz for some catches. Jason Armstead has been almost invisible. Jason Armstead in the last couple of games offensively has had 1 catch per game. And I kind of saw him before coming out in warm-up, and I looked at him. He said, hey, I'm running my routes, and I'm hoping that they see me over there. He often plays on the wide side of the field, so that's a longer throw for him.
2nd and 7 for Joseph. Working against the wind at the Roughrider 41. Good protection. Yo Murphy with a catch and a first down. Jolted by the safety Baron Miles. But Yo Murphy has made some valuable catches for the Roughriders today.
And Jason Armstead that time was used as a decoy because they sent 2 down the seam. One was Jason Armstead. He's going to come down the seam here, and then one is Yo Murphy on the outside, and they're going to have Jason Armstead hold Baron Miles for a split second, and then they go inside to Yo Murphy for the first down.
It's been a big drive for Saskatchewan. They've moved the football 45 yards. They're now on the Lions' side of half. First down. Kerry Joseph guns for Armstead. Incomplete.
Mark Washington closed in a hurry, and Armstead is wobbly because of it. I mean, he turned around and closed. That's why, you know, whenever, and it happens to everybody, but whenever Mark Washington is beating the open field, it's shocking because he can close so quickly, and he puts a good hit on Armstead. You got to give Armstead some credit, though. He laid out to go for that football.
Well, you got some veteran talent. 33-year-old Washington, and right beside him, the 34-year-old safety Baron Miles in that secondary for the Lions. 2nd and 10. Joseph with release, and the ball incomplete. Intended for Jason French, looking for his first catch of the game.
Corey Banks covered him well. They got physical. They were out there battling down there, Jason French and Corey Banks. And Corey Banks was shaken up a little bit early in the game. He's bounced back, and there was almost no room for that football to be delivered to to Jason French. That ball was thrown outside because basically Kerry Joseph had to throw it away.
That's a good drive, though. They started deep, 9 plays into the wind. And now Conji on to punt it. As we approach the 7-minute mark of this 4th quarter. Good kick. Ian Smart, no yards will be the call. That'll be a 15-yard penalty against the Roughriders.
What?
In the first 3 meetings against Saskatchewan, Dave Dickinson threw for 980 yards. He has 98 so far today going into the 4th quarter. And this possession, Joe Smith, the ball carrier. Smith, big gain right up the gut.
Again, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they have the 13th man when you play here, and they also have the 14th, and Dave Dickinson against that 14th, which is the wind. The wind in this province can pick up, and you can see that past 10 yards, Dave Dickinson has struggled, and he's been going into that wind for the most part.
13 for Smith, and this time cut down by Fred Perry again. And he has been a dominant force off the edge for Saskatchewan.
Joe Smith slow to get up after that hit. And that's the way you have to get Joe Smith, because he is so big and so strong. You hit him high, he will break that tackle. Perry coming off the block of Rob Murphy, going low on Joe Smith. Perfectly legal, too, for defender to hit the running back there.
Not only 13 quarterback sacks, but that's the 7th tackle for a loss for Fred Perry this year. So that's 20 plays behind the line of scrimmage he has made on the season. And it's 2nd and 14. Dave Dickinson doesn't like what he sees. He'll call a timeout, and these fans really into it.
That's the 13th man. So he's got the 14th to win and the 13th to deal with. And that was a timeout called for a couple reasons. One, the defense that he saw was going to force Dave Dickinson to change the play at the line of scrimmage, and with the noise and the crowd turning the volume up, he couldn't get it done, so he calls a timeout.
Well, it was interesting. We were talking about the sacks last week by BC when they pounded Anthony Calvillo, 12 sacks in the game, and Wally Bono was telling us that that was the 13th man in Vancouver, and how tough it is to play there when they've got 35,000 rocking.
Here they go. Try and call the play now at the line of scrimmage.
Second and 14. Dickinson dropped. Kitwana Jones.
7th sack of the season for Kitwana Jones.
4th sack of the day for the Roughriders.
They know when to turn up the volume. Over 27,000 here in Mosaic Stadium, and they are pretty happy with that man right now.
You know, it's tied here in the 4th quarter, but it really felt like advantage BC with the wind at their backs, but another great defensive series. And in the battle for field position, Saskatchewan getting a little upper hand now. Let's see if McCallum can negate that.
They couldn't even hear the snap count. They couldn't get the ball snapped, so they had to stop it.
And that's a 5-yard penalty, courtesy of the 13th man.
That's right.
Time count violation.
The other thing I was going to mention here,
Time
McCallum.
count violation, BC number 4. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
McCallum punting with this win. The advantage for McCallum is he can get a lot on it. The other thing is, so often you can outkick your coverage when you have the wind in your back. May set up a return for Armstead.
Put that guy in. Nice and high, and Armstead try to get outside. Found a little crease and gets to the 35. A 52-yard punt. 7 on the return.
Vote now for today's Rogers Player.
Well, a reminder that Sports Center comes your way tonight at 11:30. Brian Mudrick and Holly Horton, 11:30 Eastern. And we're all looking forward to tomorrow when Sports Center goes high definition. All the bells and whistles tomorrow with Rod Smith.
Well, tonight too. We want that. We'll watch that one too.
Yep.
But tomorrow's big high definition.
Look at that offense second half. Lions have been stifled, and Yo Murphy has another catch from his old Renegade quarterback. Yo was not picked up in the expansion draft because he had a rather lucrative 2-year contract, or at least 2 years remaining on his contract with the Renegades. But at this crucial time of the year, Eric Tillman has bolstered his offense, a team that might have needed a little help at slot, although Jamel Richardson is getting close to returning. He was injured in a game at BC Place Stadium earlier in the season, a broken foot. Richardson and Murphy could really help increase the weapons in this offense. Down, and Yo Murphy tossed down by Mark Washington.
That's the type of tackling that Mark Washington is, that we're accustomed to watching from Mark Washington. Because Yo Murphy had some room. I mean, he's going to come all the way across the field, and he's got a little bit of room once he gets past Javier Glatt there. And watch how quickly the close from Washington. See how he kept his leverage that time? He was started on the outside, he stayed on the outside, and he brings down Yo Murphy in a hurry.
That forces the Saskatchewan punt. And now the pressure back on the Waterloo native, Luka Kanji. That's away a good one. Inside the 30 for Smart, and Kennedy Nikiasen downfield once again. 39 yards for Kanji. Buck Pierce is coming at quarterback. Fans making noise again, and Joe Smith off the right side. Up to the 40-yard line, so
interesting.
Yeah. The Lions couldn't get anything done offensively in the second half, and Wally Buono has replaced his outstanding veteran with the youngster who came off the bench last year and really, for the first time, made a name for himself, Buck Pierce, here in Regina when he relieved Casey Printers and stole one in the fourth quarter for the Lions against the Roughriders. 2nd and 5. Pierce and G. Roy Simon is jolted by David Bush.
Big hit from David Bush. Talk about maintaining leverage. David Bush says to G-Roy, okay, yeah, you got up, but you're going to have to punt the football. He's coming all the way. Watch the outside leverage right there, and a perfect form tackle and big hit on G-Roy Simon to limit the game.
Wally Buono has thrown a challenge flag. He doesn't like the spot of the ball. It is inside a yard, and Buono has told us in the past it's automatic he'll go for it 3rd down and a yard.
But if he's challenging the spot, you can challenge the spot on 3rd down, but not on second down.
You're right.
Take another look at the hit. I mean, G-Roy Simon goes down immediately. He's just inside that. Depends on where they mark it. I mean,
there is no challengeable aspect of that play.
Yeah.
There is no challenge.
He was about a yard shy of the 45.
And they have marked the football inside the 44.
And they'll still take a look, but you can't challenge the spot of the football on 2nd down. You can on 3rd down.
So Buono picked up the challenge flag, and that one's in that 1-yard range.
Where he likes to go, and here comes Jarius Jackson.
So he's sticking to his 3rd down philosophy. Have their 3rd quarterback in. A lot of these fans rise to their feet. And Jackson didn't get it. There was no surge, and I don't think he got it.
I don't think so either.
There is a flag down.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but there are flags down.
was an indication it might be offside. BC it is, and it's a turnover on downs, and that's the first turnover on downs by the Lions all season long. And we might get Wally Bono to challenge now. Let's find out.
Lined up offside. That penalty is declined. First down.
Said the entire offensive line lined up past the football offside, and Jarius Jackson did not get close.
Remember Brent Johnson's clip in the first half about this game being won on the line of scrimmage? Well, that was a big victory for Saskatchewan. The game's not won, but if the Roughriders do take it, that might be the TSN turning point. Keith back in, bounced off a couple, and look at this, still moving forward.
How much does that fire up a football team? See their defense with a big third down stop, and Kenton Keith carries the momentum.
Under 3 minutes to go here at Mosaic Stadium. Well, it has turned out to be Super D Sunday. Defensive battle earlier today, won by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Montreal. This one still in the balance. Clock running, 2:50 to go, 10-10 tie. 2nd and 3, Saskatchewan. First man through his brace, and not much of a surge that time as he is tossed back.
Well, do the BC Lions defense have a third down stop in their book, or will Danny Barrett try for a long field goal into this wind?
Wonder if even an angled punt might be a pin or go for a single. I don't know if the single point's the priority with 2:34 to go or not. It would be a 43-yard field goal.
He's leaving the offense in. A 43-yard field goal in this wind is like a 63-yarder.
Well, this is a yard and a half. Third down. Empty backfield. Harry Joseph. And great surge there. Behind Jeremy O'Day.
You know what
company?
You know what emptying the backfield does on a play like that is it takes linebackers out of there as well. The only guy that's left in for the BC defense is Javier Glatt. You see the empty backfield here, no one back there. So what that means, they've taken linebackers. So it's really just Javier Glatt right there is the only guy that can help out to try and stop Joseph. He's got to get around the pile. He can't do it, and there's no other help. So nice formation for Saskatchewan to help Joseph get that first down.
.207 on the clock. Two integral guys in that play. Answers to a trivia question. There's only two guys on the field who have caught passes from Doug Flutie. One's Jeremy O'Day, a touchdown catch when he was an Argo. The other guy, Kerry Joseph, first NFL interception, picking off Doug Flutie.
That's why you went back to your room early last night. Well, you did a lot more research than I.
First down, they fake the end around Armstead, and here's a wide open Ventuz, and Kerry Joseph misses him. There is a flag down.
Otis Floyd is going to get called for illegal contact on a receiver, and it's going to be on Chris Zarka coming out of the backfield.
But Kerry wants that one back because Ventuz wide open.
Contact on a receiver. BC number 35. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Chris Zarka was underneath. He was going to be just a quick, easy dump pass from Kerry Joseph. Otis Floyd grabbed him and didn't let him get out of the backfield. Otis Floyd is going to be to the right of your screen. Zarka comes down. Here comes Zarka out. Now watch 35. Grabs him right there. He grabs him, doesn't let him out. Now that's the penalty. That keeps the drive going. And yeah, you're right, though. Joseph would like that throwback. He had a wide open receiver.
That's a touchdown, but it is a first down at the BC 25. Pitch to Keith. Keith around the edge. Under 2 minutes remaining, and Kenton Keith looking for his third 100-yard game of the year, and he's got it, 112.
When Saskatchewan runs the football, they have success. 3-game winning streak. They ran as a team for 620 yards. Last week when they lost, it was 35. They got the run going. They're right in this game right now. The chance to get the go-ahead points.
Excuse me, averaging over 9 yards a carry today. 6.3 yards a carry for the season. 2nd and 3. Clock stopped in that last play. Joseph quarterback draw. He's got the first down and drops the ball. Van Too's after it. And I think he's got it. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. And if it's Andy Van Too's, it's his first ever. And it is.
Van Too's muscles his way to this football. He is in a race to the football with Dante Marsh. It's out there. Otis Floyd gets it out. There's Dante Marsh. And Andy Van Too's out-muscles him, and clearly Van Too's has recovered the ball for a touchdown.
I'll give the kid credit. He caught one in traffic earlier, and he's going to hold on to that football for a long time. First CFL touchdown. The greatest receiver in CIS history, and who would have thought his first CFL touchdown would be a fumble recovery in the end zone.
Well, it was the fumble recovery and the touchdown, but it was a big hit. It was a big hit on Dante Marsh. Dante Marsh took a while getting up and getting to the sideline. He's got to get some medical attention after the hit. And that shows you a little of the Andy Van Too's toughness.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have taken the lead here with 1:41 on the clock.
Which is lots of time.
Absolutely. Trying to move within 4 points of the leading Lions, Stampeders in the West. And is he still holding on to the ball?
Oh, yeah, that goes in the trophy case. It doesn't matter how you get it, but when you get that first touchdown, you hang on to that football, and he earned it. Kerry Joseph has an opening, and it looked for a minute like he was going to score, but the Lions won't give up. Otis Floyd comes back. He gets cut there, and then he pulls the ball out. But look at the determination from Andy Van Too's. That's where he just out-muscles and knocks Dante Marsh off the football. It's like quote my favorite country star Tim McGraw, how bad do you want it? Andy Van Too's wanted it.
Another forced fumble by Otis Floyd. There is some concern at the Saskatchewan bench as Kerry Joseph getting attention for an injured ankle on that Floyd tackle. And Kerry Joseph trying to walk it off. And Rocky Butler keeping tabs on the sidelines.
Well, the BC Lions now, Wally Buono has lots of time. Be over a minute when he gets the football back. Which quarterback comes on the field?
He used all three in the last series. Ian Smart. Johnson brings him down, but it's good field position for that unnamed Lion quarterback. Will it be Dickinson, who has gone most of the way? Or will it be Buck Pierce? And it is Pierce, the youngster, coming up for his second series.
You know, Dave Dickinson last week versus Montreal left the game when he hit his head on the turf with concussion symptoms. He did not make as quick as decisions as we've seen from Dave Dickinson in this football game. His numbers are way down. That's why we're looking at Buck Pierce right now.
Buck Pierce is the best backup in the league. Let's see what he does here. Second chance. Nobody open initially. Now Joe Smith. David Bush there. And the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd, arrives on the scene.
Well, even with Buck Pierce, same problems. He is forced to dump the football underneath, and boy, for player of the game, look at somewhere in that secondary for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They've got to be nominees. They've done a nice job on some pretty talented receivers in this game.
Lions have used their timeout, and these fans trying to make it tough on Buck Pierce. 2nd and 6. Buck Pierce, G-Roy Simon. What a throw and a great catch and piece of footwork by Simon.
It was an amazing throw from Buck Pierce for a couple of reasons. One, he has a small window to get the football in. Number two, he's doing it on the run. He does not stop to set up. Nice tight spiral. He has to thread it in between coverage there. Bush on one side, Johnson on the other.
Pick up a 25 in the 4th catch of the day for G-Roy Simon. At the Rough Rider 33. Pierce over the middle and incomplete. Kendrick Jones. That ball nearly up for grabs for the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd.
Yeah, Buck Pierce was a little fired up after that last pinpoint throw to G-Roy Simon, and he just put a fastball over the middle. Kendrick Jones could not hang on. Is a little bit behind him, but this ball had a lot of heat on it.
Fans are going to amp it up again. Calls his own number and is inside the 25 and will be close to the 1st down.
Tremendous presence of mind from Buck Pierce. Before that play started, he had Joe Smith on one side and he changed him. Look at Joe Smith over here. There's Joe Smith. Watch him move him to this side of the formation to pick up the blitz from the outside, and Jackie Mitchell, he recognizes what protection he needs. He gets Smith to the right side. He picks up that blitz, and that opens the left side of the formation for Buck Pierce.
Remember, a 7-game win streak's on the line, and this will be the 6th game that Wally Buono has not had Dave Dickinson either start or finish. But they have this win streak in large part because of the super sophomore quarterback, Buck Pierce. Another 3rd down gamble. This is a short one. And Jake Ireland.
You see the difference here, though. Boy, did that quiet the crowd.
Yeah.
Did they leave?
They're saving things.
Please reset the game clock to 1:07.
I just want to point out one thing quickly. Different formation for the BC Lions than we saw when Kerry Joseph tried to go for it when he emptied the backfield. The Lions got everybody in tight. That leaves the defenders in tight as well.
Pierce, 3rd and inches. He'll get drilled back. And again, he didn't need much. Behind Angus Reid, and
well, he didn't get much.
No, he didn't.
And they might have to look at this. Well, they're gonna call it 1st down. He got enough. He got enough. He didn't need much, and that was the bottom line. But he did get enough. Lots of time. They're calling the plays on the line now, which will be tougher with this crowd. But one more look, he got what he needed.
Ball's on the 23. 1st down. Lions need a touchdown. Pierce scrambling. And a one-hopper to Thelwell, incomplete.
Tougher throw to make than the one he made to G-Roy Simon on the sideline, because as he's rolling to his right, he hits G-Roy Simon, who's moving to his right. That time, Thelwell was moving into the middle and away from the direction that Buck Pierce was rolling to.
Last time we saw these two teams here, there were a couple of touchdowns in the final minute, and Saskatchewan won it 32-24. We're in the final minute of a great defensive game, 17-10 Saskatchewan.
Eddie Davis is on G-Roy Simon.
Jackson in motion, the 7th play of the Lions drive, 2nd and 10. Pierce over the middle, and a catch is made.
What a
G-Roy
catch.
Simon.
Oh, he had to go up to get that one. G-Roy Simon is wide open early, and he's not going to see the football till the last second, and because of that, has to make a diving catch. He is open on the curl. Watch him go down. Now he's going to, when he gets there, he is wide open, but the ball's not there. It's a little slower, gets there, and he has to go up and make a tough one.
We haven't had overtime yet this year, have we? The possibility is growing here this afternoon. Claremont touchdown. The Regina native with the touchdown catch, 31 seconds on the clock, and Buck Pierce comes off the bench to engineer it.
What a drive engineered by Buck Pierce. I mean, is this the best backup quarterback in the Canadian Football League? He's just got my vote. I mean, my goodness. In this situation, in hostile territory, the throws he's made on this drive, down by 7, not down by 3. He needed a major.
And now the Lions need a convert.
And guess who holds it? Buck Pierce.
And McCallum puts it through. The game locked at 17 and 31 seconds on the clock. 8 plays, 62 yards. And the Usher Collegiate graduate, Jason Claremont, silences his hometown crowd.
Claremont is going to fight off Jackie Mitchell here to the out. Mitchell tried to go underneath, gambled, and it did not pay off. Good hands by Claremont, but boy, full credit to, that is a big-time drive by Buck Pierce. With all the noise in this stadium, a defense that was getting after it. Saskatchewan had played great defense in this fourth quarter. For Buck Pierce to come on down by 7 and engineer that kind of drive to tie it up, that's big time.
Turning into a great football game, and with the top 3 teams in the West, every time they lock up now, I think we're going to get this kind of football. BC still has Calgary twice, and Danny Barrett trying to find a way to get his team a home playoff game. They need today's victory to move above 500 and keep that hope alive. A loss, and they've got Edmonton next week with more serious concerns about just making sure they get to the playoffs. So Saskatchewan will have one last opportunity to break this tie in regulation. Corey Grant looking for a big return. And he'll not get it. Nailed downfield, and one of the first down there was Sebastian Clovis.
Now, you always want to play to win the football game. I know that's not saying anything, but you got to be careful if you're Kerry Joseph. I mean, you got 23 seconds, and you play aggressively here, yes. You're into the win. A turnover here is automatic field position for the Lions to win this football game in regulation. So you don't want to play to just go into overtime sometimes, but you got to be careful.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to play it cozy too, and with 23 seconds left,
not surprised.
I think that's the right call, because you got about 60, 70 yards to get. Fans disagree.
No, I don't disagree, and I know that's why I said it, and I didn't say it very well, but that's why I said it, is that the fans always love the tough football kind of mentality, always playing to win, always going after it. But in this situation,
keep it clean, guys.
A fumble, a turnover that can happen with 2 aggressive defenses playing today. I mean, this is the right way to go. You go in overtime, and you're at home, too. I like the decision.
And Kerry Joseph will kill the clock, and we get to see overtime for the first time this year. It's been a whale of a football game. 17 all. With so much at stake, including the Lions' 7-game win streak. Let's head back to the panel and have them weigh in. Dave?
Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks, Glenn. Back to those boys in a moment. Wow, and what a great game. Game 1 was good, too. This is tremendous. First of all, you got Andy Fantuz, who looked like he was going to be the newest hero in Regina until the Regina native Jason Claremont caught that last touchdown pass. Talk to me about Buck Pierce, will you? One more time, please.
Oh, what can I say? You know, we're watching the history and the future of the Canadian Football League, and Saskatchewan's defense. You got to talk about them because they've been huge in this football game, and actually chased Dave Dickinson. And then Buck Pierce comes on, and guys, on the road, And against Saskatchewan, the game on the line, Schultz, we were talking about it. Does he go 92 yards for the, for the tying score? And what does he do? He goes not 92 yards, but 8 plays for 62 yards in the tying score. Unbelievable poise.
Well, that's the thing that really impressed me is that you ran 8 plays in such a short period of time, and in order to do that, you have to have great clarity of what does work and what doesn't work, and have that clock ticking so well in your head. We're out for a very, very good overtime.
Yeah, I think some mention has to be made of Wally Buono. I think that was a great coaching decision and one that takes a lot of guts. I mean, he's got Dave Dickinson. Everybody knows the history with these two. I mean, Dave Dickinson and Wally Buono go back years and are very close. To sit him down with the game on the line, if Buck Pierce goes out and does win the game for you, you're going to create yourself a quarterback controversy. And he said, you know what? Winning's more important than any of that.
The 4th and final meeting between a couple of Western Division rivals is going into overtime. Let's not waste any more time. Without further ado, back to Regina. Boys?
All right, David, looking forward to this. Here's the format, and again, this is the first overtime game since last year's Grey Cup. A couple of mini games to decide things.
It's like the college sort of overtime in the States. You start at the 35-yard line, and now Saskatchewan Roughriders will start out with the football, and the BC Lions will then know they won the toss, but they get the chance to know what they have to do to match. If they match, they continue on.
And so the Lions win the toss. Saskatchewan will go on offense first. Both teams will operate with the wind now. And Kerry Joseph, who was shaken up on the Saskatchewan touchdown, is back in at quarterback, and they'll have the end around. Here comes Armstead. Got some room. And Armstead steps up close to a first down at the 25-yard line.
Jason Armstead gets a big block from the new acquisition for the Riders, Yo Murphy. His veteran savvy comes in here because Yo Murphy's going to come from the outside in. You're going to see Armstead come this way, and as he comes around just to the right of your screen, there's the big block right there by Yo Murphy on Mark Washington. That got Armstead some room to the outside.
16th carry of the season for Armstead. Close to 10 and almost a free down here at 2nd and inches, and wonder how Kerry Joseph will use that. He will just punt forward and move the sticks. Well, that was quite a finish. First, the dramatic Andy Fantu's fumble recovery for a go-ahead touchdown, and then Buck Pierce showing us that there's nothing raw or young about his quarterback savvy.
That was some kind of drive for backup BC Lion quarterback, and he'll get a chance here in overtime for the first time in his career.
Option toss, and that's Keith trying to get outside. Great pursuit there by Carl Kidd.
Yeah, the kid with the pursuit, and I love what Chris Wilson did, because Wilson, with his hustle on the edge, he didn't allow Kenton Keith to cut back. I'm going to show you what I mean. Look at Keith go to left. Now, Wilson forces a pitch, and then he keeps in his trail position so that there's no possible cutback lane or any way for Kenton Keith to reverse his field.
Terrific pursuit by Mark Washington as well. It's a loss of 2. And now this Rough Rider offense in overtime. First mini game, looking at 2nd and 12. And Twos comes back in for blocking and then is released into the end zone and goes. Incomplete, intended for Yo Murphy. And Corey Banks in his hip pocket.
Yeah, Corey Banks has been there. I mean, since he was knocked a little woozy early in the game, he has been in perfect coverage since then. And the BC Lion defense accomplishes what they want, and that's to hold Saskatchewan to a field goal attempt. Yo Murphy, number 87, is trying to beat him deep, does a little outside cut, and Corey Banks does not bite on that. Look at the great coverage by 24.
And now it sets up a matchup of place kickers, perhaps. The veteran Paul McCallum, the former Rough Rider, against his replacement, Luca Kanji. And remember, Kanji's hit 2 from over 50 today.
Oh,
and he misses one at a critical time, and it'll be brought out, so the Rough Riders come up empty.
Wow. Oh, baby, all the big ones that he made in this game this afternoon, and that pitcher, he can't believe that. And it looked like Luka Kanji chili dipped it. You know, when you're trying to chip it onto the green from about 60 yards and you scoop it up and it goes about 15. And he chili dipped it, got underneath it, and pushed it to the right. And now, huge advantage for Buck Pierce and the BC Lions.
Well, the Lions can play it pretty cozy here, and with this breeze, could probably punt the ball through the end zone. And it looks like that's exactly what Wally Buono's going to try and do right away. Not going to take any chances. I think this is a gamble by Buono because he's got to make sure he gets it through. Kanji comes back, and
you can return it.
Saskatchewan can return it, kick it out. Well, they have the option to do this, but I thought they might do it after a couple of plays. McCallum trying to win it. Not much on it. They're going to return this. Unbelievable. The Lions have given up a golden chance to win the football game.
You know what? That's one of the best coaches in Canadian Football League history, and I got to say, I hate this decision. I mean,
I liked it on third down, but
you know what? You got to kick it about 65 yards, and I know you got the win if you're Paul McCallum. You got to kick it 65 yards. They're going to do it all again at the other end of the field now, but this overtime continues. But I mean, you got a decent win, but that has still got to be a huge kick to get it. You can't just put it in the end zone. You got to punt it deep into the end zone or punt it out. And he doesn't get all of it. It comes off a bit off the side of his foot. And that was on first down. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Buck Pierce has just put together a great drive. He needed a big punt out of his kicker there, who's played well all game long.
Now, often coaches and kickers will confer before those decisions are made. You wonder if McCallum sold him on the idea that I could kick it through the end zone. Clearly, he comes up short.
Advantage goes to Saskatchewan now, though. Wally Buono had the advantage. Saskatchewan starts the first overtime, does not get a point. He knows now that all he needs is a field goal. He can get it into the middle, he can move it down, he can line up in the field goal. Now, the concern with the field goal formation is if you get it blocked, it can go back the other way, and blocking a field goal is easier than blocking a punt in some cases. But I think you go aggressive, you put Buck Pierce in there, and you drive down the field. Easy to say that after it didn't work, but the bottom line is, I mean,
that was just a 42-yard punt. We've seen McCallum hit a couple from 44 against the wind today, and Kanji gets a reprieve. And this time the Lions go first. And again, the 7-game win streak on the line. Joe Smith is 6-7.
Now we switch it back to the opposite side of the field. Each team gets one more possession. If no points are scored in those possessions, the game remains tied. And this time Wally Buono has no choice but to go ahead and run offensive plays and try and get the major as many points as he can, because he knows Saskatchewan now has the hammer because they go next. And only have to respond to whatever points Buck Pierce can generate.
They give Smith 7. He has 85 on the day. 2nd and 3. 5 receivers out. And that pass incomplete. Lyle Green looked like he was the closest man to it.
The other thing here, Chris, is that when it changed and that decision backfires, now Buck Pierce is into the win. And he has to go first, and he has to try and get the points first. And now Wally Buono's going to ask Paul McCallum to kick into the win.
35 yards.
Now, Saskatchewan does too, but they have to match whatever happens here. It's a different scenario for them.
You really do get the advantage of going second. Looks like that wind is gusting now. McCallum wishes it was that strong when he was punting a few minutes ago. Trying to atone for the punt. And Paul McCallum does. That's a clutch kick. He kicked that as far as he punted the ball with the wind.
Yeah, and now into the wind, even though Saskatchewan has the hammer because now they have to match the 3, they have to get positive yards. I mean, and sometimes in overtime, teams will just line up in field goal formation right out of the gate, but they have to get positive yards because it's too far of a kick into the wind right now.
Again, this is the second mini game. If we don't have a decision here, the game will finish in a tie, meaning if Saskatchewan kicks a field goal here, the game will finish in a 20-all tie. Roughriders need a win. Look back pass that was batted down.
Brent Johnson just made the play of the game for the BC Lions. There was enough room for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Shamar Bracey, to score. Brent Johnson is right here, and this screen is set up perfectly. Brent Johnson doesn't get his hands on that play, on that ball right there, the Roughriders win this football game.
Last time a game in the CFL was tied was 2004. Toronto and Montreal. I say Saskatchewan needs a win if they're thinking about home field playoffs.
Yeah.
A tie would be valuable in pulling 5 up on Edmonton. 2nd and 10. Joseph, wide open. Yo, Murphy.
Big throw and catch, and how important was the veteran Yo Murphy to this lineup here this afternoon? A pretty good pickup by Eric Tillman to go out and get Yo Murphy, get a little bit of veteran stability in the lineup, and he makes a big one down the sideline. Little wheel route, he goes out and up.
7th catch, he's over 100 yards. 101 on the day, and it's 1st and 10 at the 12. With Armstead in motion, bootleg, Joseph, Vantoos, touchdown! What a catch! Well, he had his first CFL touchdown late in the 4th quarter, and now the great college receiver has his first CFL touchdown reception, and the Roughriders have a valuable 2 points.
I think it's safe to say Andy Vantoos has cemented his position in the starting lineup in the receiving corps, and let the radio call-in debate begin in BC on the decision to punt on 1st down in the first overtime possessions by Wally Buono, and what a catch by Vantoos. He goes down low, pulls it off the turf, play action as Kerry Joseph gets outside, throws under duress, and a perfect throw. Vantoos comes up with the play of the game.
Well, Vantoos with a fantastic finish here for Saskatchewan Roughrider fans. They're within 4 of Calgary and BC, still tied for 1st in the West. Danny Barrett and the Saskatchewan Roughriders move 6 up on Edmonton in a game that will leave us with plenty to ponder. And Wally Buono will think about the decision in the first mini game.
Will he ever? And the debate will begin. I mean, hunting on 1st down.
Lions now 9-4, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are 7-6 after this 23-20 overtime victory in Regina.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. Do Wendy's, do what tastes right. By Rona, proud league-wide sponsor of the CFL. And by Rogers Wireless. Rogers brings you the latest MP3 phones.
Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by the 2007 GMC Sierra. And it came in the first mini game of overtime. Wally Buono's decision to try to go for the single with the punt into the end zone, which was easily run out by Saskatchewan, giving them the opportunity to get the thrilling overtime victory today. A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association for the training and development of Canadian coaches on behalf of TSN and the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. Our next game for you for the CFL on TSN is coming at you on Wendy's Friday Night Football, a rematch of a game we showed you earlier today. The Montreal Alouettes, trying to snap a 6-game losing streak, will be in Winnipeg to take on the Bombers, and we are not done with football yet. Coming up immediately, a football night in America. It's the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots tonight. The NFL on TSN in TSN High Definition. The Rogers Player of the Game, as voted by you, is Saskatchewan running back Kenton Keith with 110 yards along the ground. He was spectacular, and he was a key component to this thrilling 23-20 overtime win for the Riders. On behalf of all the boys, this is Dave Randolph saying thanks for watching. You are watching TSN, Canada's sports leader.